on an absolute tear right now.
Before our next best of two, we're going to do our menu log meal time. This is a bit of a weird question, all right? If you had to pick your favorite snack and equate it to a league champion, what is the snack and what would then be the league champion? You can do it either off of like, if Pringles had a personality, this is what it would be. Or you could do it off of like color schematics.
My immediate thought was Braum, because he has a sweets skin.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And I
That's
can't
pretty good.
unsee that as the only thing that's coming to mind. So I'm gonna have to think about other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like some champ that just makes me salty. Because like I like my salty snacks.
You're a mid
snacks,
laner,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Did you say
Nautilus.
Oh,
I hate being run on by supports.
Yeah. What about mid Nautilus? Does that make you just as salty?
No, that's fine.
okay.
I stand in my creeps and you can't hook me, but like
Yeah, fair.
support Nautilus, no.
You've just done the inverse. I asked for your favorite league champion to equate to your favorite snack, and you're like, so anyway, salty. I
Literally
hate
just
Nautilus.
Seaweed snacks. Yeah.
Just
all
pure
salt.
salt.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like those snacks, to be honest.
The salty ones?
Yeah, they're the seaweed ones.
Oh yeah.
Seaweed snacks are
I'm
hard.
big on
Yeah,
the seaweed ones now.
Thank you.
It's my
Yeah,
latest
thank you, hard.
acquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do slap. Skims, do you think
That's
you're
okay.
pretty hard?
I'm really thinking hard, and the only thing that comes to mind is Zach and Jelly.
Zoe and bubblegum.
Oh, that's
That
pretty
too?
good. I like that one too.
But like bubblegum, is it a snack? 'Cause you don't.
a little bit. I mean, don't swallow it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's not a snack. I don't know. I don't know.
I wanted
I'm
something.
actually trying to think of mine too. I'm thinking like my favorite snacks, like like the snakes. The snake lollies.
yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I'm thinking of them, and then I'm like, okay, but what league champ would I associate with?
Cassiopeia.
you?
Cassiopeia.
Yeah, but that's so like the colors aren't the
What
same.
about
It's
Tom
just
Catch
snake.
and a fruit roll up?
Basic.
Oh, snake and snake, they have to equate. It just makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
What
Sense
skin?
to me.
What skin has like salami or meat or something?
I'm
What
so sorry,
skin?
everyone's
Silver.
ears.
What skin? Yeah, Siva's got a pizza.
Yeah,
pizza.
Yes,
Pizza.
Is pizza a snack?
Pepperoni
Is one slice of pizza a snack?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Pizza.
Oh, the
Pizza
jelly
is
There's
fine.
also
jelly
the,
ones.
they're the lolly ones, the
If you-
Haribo.
If you eat pizza, it's a meal. But if you eat the leftovers, it's a snack.
But
Is
there's a
it? But
lot
you
of
can't have.
leftovers.
Yeah.
He's found the hack.
No, but what if you have half your pizza for leftovers? Like, what if you eat half
That's
your dinner?
that's,
That's two
probably leaning
meals.
towards a meal.
Two meals.
That's two meals then.
If it's like 1 to 2 slices, that's a snack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, look, you guys can tell us in chat, or you can also
Type menu pog.
Pepperoni
Menu
In
pog.
chat.
Yeah, whatever it is, whether it's a pepperoni as your favorite snack, salami, maybe it's jelly. Whatever it is, let us know in chat. But for now, we got to end our menu log mealtime and go to a break.
Oh, can you feel me in my cruise on top? We be driving fast, we making bottles go pop. We be drinking champagne, oh yeah, it's a damn shame. We run in the city and we never gonna stop. Yeah, we gonna go downtown with my crew, oh, eyes on us, hands up, cause you know we're unstoppable. Downtown with my crew, time sticking on the clock, hands up, cause you know we better blow. Heads up, we gonna rule the world. We're the kings of these streets, if you couldn't tell. Listen up, listen, the truth be told. The number one here, yeah, we're winning the gold. Heads up, we untouchable. Take a shot towards us, but you slip and fall. The thing about us is we never miss. We the number one here, yeah, we owning the business. Yeah, hey, come on, let's go. Downtown with my crew, all eyes on us. Hands up, and you know we're unstoppable. Yeah, come on, yeah. Downtown with my crew, time ticking on the clock, hands up, yeah, you know we about to blow. Yeah. Yeah, you don't wanna mess with us, the best team. Yeah, come on. You don't wanna mess with us, we the best team. We on the top of our game, and this is our
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kizzy's not here. Enter Pentakill. Second, they'll find a second. Chippies is on an absolute tear right now.
Welcome back. We've got our second best of 2 Bliss up against Dire Wolves. I mean, we just saw back-to-back champions Chiefs play up against Vertex. Now we've got a second place Bliss up against third place Dire Wolves from the last split. And it's looking up to be a juicy one, Skame.
Yeah, this one shouldn't be as much of a one-sided affair, to say the least. I'm really expecting... A part of me thinks it could be a 1-1. Another part of me thinks that a team that's come into this one a little bit more prepared could just come out the gate swinging and say, you know, there is a divide. Much like you say, Rusty, where there's tiers in terms of our power rankings. You know, there's a clear divide of, you know, top 2 and so on. So I'm really excited to see, especially from the Bliss camp, just how much of a difference this new support can really bring. And from the side of Dire Wolves, right, you know, they set the expectations of themselves. How much of a difference does that make as well, right? So obviously the latest addition to the team being Akia coming in as a Genji Academy prospect, right? Another Korean-speaking member to try and help out Daystar as well. And Daystar had a phenomenal debut, had to be said, right? I think he came in, was just smashing it out on like 70 different champions in solo queue. So many games played, rank 1 easy peasy. And obviously went from newest team on the block to finding ourselves going toe-to-toe with Chiefs and then obviously in the grand final. So really excited to see if this is the level up they need to just push them over the tipping edge and potentially be a split-winning victory.
Dire Wolves also didn't have too much of a roster change, but there is a slight difference in who we're going to be seeing for them. Tally?
I think this series is going to be really cool because I don't think there's too much of a skill difference between the team. I think that what's going to come down to is who understands the meta more and who like drafts better for their team's style. I think that it's really important to adapt quickly, and like now that they've seen LPL games and even the other LCO games we've already watched, that they're going to be able to adapt to their own play style, what works for them, and bring it out.
I think that's a key phrase for Dire Wolves and for Bliss, right? Is it's best of 2, not best of 3. So in terms of adaptation, you don't actually have the freedom, like in a best of 3 series, to do something in game 1 and then say it didn't work, let's fix it and win the series, because then it's just a draw.
Yeah.
So you actually have to be your best in 1 and 2. Like there's no time to adapt other than fixing things quickly between those games. So I'm, like you said, I'm looking forward to how this game starts, to who's adapted to the meta itself, but also their own individual, like, is it a team fight focus, right? Does Zoranus need that Na to succeed, etc., for the Dire Wolves to look their best?
We do have our interview with the Bliss player Why Not ready, so we're going to have a chat with him. Why Not? Hello. I first of all want to say big congrats to you on last split. I mean, the last time I spoke to you, you were a sub on Legacy and you were just playing one of the games that you could. And I want to know, how does it feel? You went from being a sub on Legacy, sub to Pentanet, you got to be on the starting lineup from Bliss and get all the way into second.
Yeah, it feels great, Nat. It's also wonderful to have you back as well. Obviously, everyone loves Mac and we miss him dearly, but I think it's a wonderful addition as well, seeing you back. I loved having you last time. It was an amazing interview last time, and it's a good question now as well. And I think it's feeling good, right? Going from that sub position, I've kind of touched on this in previous interviews as well, but going from that sub spot, getting a chance and really kind of proving the point that I do deserve this spot. And with Bliss, we can do great things. And obviously, second place, sure, you know, it feels good to have a decent debut split, but I think we're coming for first this split, and we're definitely looking to get that trophy.
Sounds good. I thought I was supposed to be gassing you up in the interview, but I'm getting all gassed up over here. Obviously, I've got a few more questions, though. You guys were just boot camping. Want to know as much information as you're willing to reveal on how that one went, how long you guys were boot camping for, and just the confidence that it's given you in having this new support in your roster.
Yeah, so most of us are based currently in Brisbane. So that would be, you know, Tristan lived and our 2 Koreans, which is Daystar and Akia, but all based in Brisbane. Me and Shamil, me and Lemurs are in Melbourne. So start of the split, we just flew over, and we're still currently actually in Brisbane. We're currently in the Bliss facility. So all 5 of us are around this kind of big table, and it's great, right? Getting to kind of scrim. Obviously, we always scrim even remotely, but doing it in person is a very good experience, right? It allows after games you're able to review together very easily. We had Calvin here, our coach, until recently. He's based in Hong Kong, but after DreamHack, he stayed around in Brisbane for a bit. So it's definitely helped a lot with our preparation, and especially with getting to know our new player in Akia.
That's awesome to hear. I'm a little bit offended you didn't ask to hang out, considering I live in Brisbane, but, you know, I won't take it personally.
I didn't know. Next time.
Next time.
Now, understand you're a bit of a tech man, and we've had so many changes happening to the game recently, and I guarantee that you've done some research, and I want to know if there's anything that you've discovered or something that you were going to hold back in your back pocket to bring on the LCO?
Ooh, I'm not sure if I'll touch too much on stuff that might appear in the LCO that I haven't been public about. I'd say the biggest one would be day one. I found kind of Trinity Force on Kindred is kind of back. And for about a week, 2 weeks, it had a very low play rate of like lower than 1%, but a pretty insane win rate. And now, as I checked today on Lolalytics, the stat sites, it's currently the highest play rate with still an absolutely ridiculous win rate. So I kind of am a bit of a tech man on that Trinity Force Kindred, and I have been doing well with it in solo queue. So I think that's pretty good. There are a few other picks I think that might crop up during the split, and I think some teams have already faced in scrims. But I won't be naming any names. The people who know, they know. They know.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. You're in the loop. Do you have anything else? Otherwise, I've got one more question I want to ask. All right. I want to touch on just your personal growth for yourself. Why not? How Bliss, your org, has been helping you. Who on the back end, whether it's coach, whether it's other players that have been helping you, and where you think the biggest growth has been for you over Split 1 and you looking to even excel further on in Split 2?
I think the support from Bliss has been kind of unmatched in any other org that I've been a part of. I think that everything, right? The fact that they're able to facilitate these boot camps, able to get our flights over here, able to host us and give us anything we want, right? If there's anything that I feel like I need in order to perform, they will ensure that we have it comfortably as well. And that goes out to all the Bliss guys, especially Brendy. There's also Textile. Other people on the other end that also make things run very smoothly would be, just honestly, there's too many names to really mention. But I think also credit has to be given to the team as well. We all turn up, we're all happy to be involved and kind of commit this portion of our life to Bliss and to our own careers. And I think that makes all the difference.
Awesome. Well, I could chat with you for so much longer. Why not? But I'm sure you want to...
I would like to just have a small little segment here.
Yeah, let's go.
Just thank you for all the fans supporting us at DreamHack. Obviously, we were there with the merch stand. We have the crew necks now. The Bliss crew necks.
Oh,
they are
is there a
looking
code?
Yeah, I can give
beautiful.
you my address. You guys could just swing by and drop that one off in Brisbane for me.
If you wear it on broadcast, we might just do that. So we have the very limited edition of crew necks. We have a few left over. Why not 10 on the Bliss shop when they come up? Just want you to know that one. There it is, and we'll do a good game for you today against Direwolves.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to the show. Best of luck, Why Not? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Nat.
It's always going to be an absolute spectacle when Why Not comes on the broadcast.
I thought he had a really
genuine, heartfelt
PR-ready speech.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for supporting us. It's been great. DreamHack was an absolute blah, blah, blah. But by the way, here's a really cool piece of swag, and you should buy
to be fair, it did look good. I will give him that.
It looks
I
comfy.
actually would unironically wear that just walking around.
100%.
Yeah, wear it sitting as well. Just
Only
wear
walking around.
No, only walking. As soon as I sit down, I have to take it off.
I'm sorry, that's just the way it works.
It's just how it
walking
happens.
jumper.
Yeah, of course. It's great to see the growth of Why Not,
Yeah.
though, and to know that Bliss is supporting them 100%. There's obviously still that drive for them. They haven't won. They didn't win that split one, so that's very much the coveted #1 spot for them that they're looking for.
We got to meet the organization at DreamHack as well, right? One of the first times we've got to meet them.
Yeah.
They were all so lovely. So, he is saying that from a good place. They are such genuinely nice people. The Bliss org have been great to talk with.
Well, we have our other pre-game interview ready. We've got Chaz from Direwolves joining us. Chaz, hello. How are you going?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Just general question, what's going to be the biggest change up for Direwolves this split compared to Split 1?
Well, we've got some roster changes coming through. They haven't happened for the first week, but coming for the second week, we'll have a new starting jungler and a new coach. So that'll be the main switch up, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot in the back pocket then.
And as a fellow mid laner, so I myself have swapped to the bot lane because I thought mid lane was hard trash in solo queue. How are you finding the meta right now in mid?
I don't know, it's kind of boring. I think Nico is really fun, don't get me wrong about that. Nico
Yeah.
and Jace, when you get those spots, it's really enjoyable, but I guess slamming Annie and Ari is enjoyable for a few games, and then, it gets a bit boring. But I think, it's a very big facilitator role right now, especially in comp, so it's not as enjoyable compared to previous seasons, but I don't know. It is what it is. You do what you gotta do.
Do your job, yeah.
How's life in general? You know, what was the off season like for you guys? How is being ramping up for LCO going? Are you been going heavy on the scrims or trying to find this balance for yourselves between going hard and just still enjoying life?
It was a very relaxing off season into a very stressful off season. So I don't know. I feel like I lost a few years over the last month, but yeah, we haven't got as many scrims in as we would have liked to with the roster we're wanting to be playing. But I don't know. We're doing okay for what it is. So I'm hoping a few more weeks come through, a few more games, we'll be up to scratch.
And how do you guys go about sort of finding your groove in this patch? Like, who's coming up with a lot of the ideas that you want to test out? Is this everyone's trying to do their own research, or do you have a core like 1 or 2 people that have really got hard ideas that they want to be trying in scrims and now even in officials?
I think everybody has their own ideas, but our top laner, Zeranius, has like, I don't know, he's just like some mastermind. He's just got absolutely everything on lock. He watches every game, every region, like he just lives and breathes the game. So he brings a lot of ideas to me personally, like in DM, said, hey, like this looks really good, you should try it. And I suss that out. So I think he's some mastermind up there, but you know, I think every team has input from all different players. It would be probably, you're doing a bad job if you don't have something to bring to the table, but he's definitely a superstar up there. He's got a lot of ideas.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing some of those ideas hopefully come out in your game against Bliss today. But thank you so much for joining us, Chaz, and good luck.
Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you.
See ya. You're saying it like, we might be interviewing him afterwards, you know? Like, come on, mate.
No, he signed the deal.
No, he's like, I only want
Catch you
interview
later.
a day. Even if we win, I'm not going to do it.
I think you raised a really good point
It's
there.
like looking at
kept-
Kimmy, and you just looked away from me. You're like, I don't want to answer our question.
No, because I thought you'd already thrown it to me, so I'm just going full swing. I was like, yeah, mate, so anyway, so looking at my points here,
Are you gonna say them?
I thought
Yep.
that he raised
Yeah?
a really good
Yep.
point.
Ooh.
Yeah. What was that?
About Zoranis, I think Zoranis had a really, really good performance last split. He was the most improved player as a result of that one. I think he had some really standout performances. I mean, you already touched on when we talk about the Nard. I think a big thing for us was the fact that it maybe felt less pressure on him. I think at times we were saying, was he a shot caller for the team? There's a lot more emphasis then on you having to sacrifice your own ability to play well. As a result, having to try and take stock of the entire map. I think individually he played phenomenally, and you can see that then, you know, if he's able to absorb all this information globally, you know, it's just the rest of your team is the big proportion, or a big reason, and I would say, as to why Direwolves performed so well last split.
Yeah, well, then we're going to see how they adapt to that 13.10. He said he's been pulling out a lot of ideas. We'll see how many of them work, though. Side select coming up. Bliss picking blue side.
I feel like that's going to be pretty consistent
Yeah.
with the Chiefs going towards that blue side.
At this point, you
priority.
could just say pick blue side and just change the logo.
Yeah, it's actually, except for game 2 with Vertex, who
Yeah,
picked
that
red.
one- a little
So
bit off.
already gone.
Yeah.
But the thing with Bliss as well is we just saw Kevy with the Chiefs. You know that he likes AP junglers. I know someone else who likes AP junglers right now on the side of Bliss. That is why not. So I would not be surprised to see, to say the least, a very similar draft to the Chiefs with the way that they want to execute. Simply because Gragas is good, and I have to assume with Bliss, Nico is also a flex. Yeah. Like that just makes sense. That why not is quick to adapt to these champions.
Yeah.
And maybe we get a Kindred, but I think that's only if Nico's banned away from them.
If you guys like what Rusty is talking about in terms of what Bliss might be picking, then you guys can do their fan vote over there in the top. You guys can use your channel points. You
Where,
can vote
Rusty?
for them. Or maybe you're just like, Rusty is not spitting facts. He is all lies.
Just
He is
cap.
not telling the truth. And you can go ahead and use your points to sort of vote for Direwolves.
Also, tweet angrily at me. Bring it on. I'll
Oh.
go to war.
Okay.
I'll
I
back it
mean,
up.
that
I don't
is
lie.
a call to action right there.
Okay.
At Rusty Lowell.
Bring it on.
Yeah,
you're
that's, I literally,
pissed.
as soon as I go to Champs, like, bro, I'm like, out. I'm going to get in the green room and I'm going to...
I got time.
Yeah, all right, perfect. Our own predictions, though. Oh, look at that. Look at the points already been popped
So
up
we're
there.
on 3 points. We're not all Nat 3, Max 3. It's not our
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Confirm we
used
all
to have
were.
a 3 in my name, actually.
You did.
Yeah. The E wasn't available in that T.
Kept the underscore.
Yep. Yeah, well, all right. It's not fully available just yet. But we're all on the same page. We all went Chiefs 2-0, and now we're all going Bliss 2-0.
Tally doesn't get a 3.
No, guess not. Take my points, guys.
He's a guest. He doesn't actually get points.
Okay.
Last one to take my 100% record home.
You're just for fun
Not
voting.
fair.
Yeah.
That's true. If you end out this week getting all 4 series correct, you can just walk away and be like, split to 100%. You don't have to add any
Easy
like
work.
rules or stuff. Easy work over there.
He'll
You
come
don't
back
have
another week.
That's
Wait.
true. We should bring him back another week.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a week where it's so hard to predict.
Like insane gauntlet week, and it's like, tell me. It would be like, you know,
Yeah.
with the Football World
Yeah.
Cup, and have like an octopus, like trying
Yeah.
to figure out who the
Oh
winner's
my
going to
God,
be.
he's the octopus.
Tally's the octopus.
Are we gonna put two jars in front of
We're
him?
going to win.
I'll flip a coin. That's good enough.
That's what's going to happen.
Practically the same. A human flipping a coin and an octopus opening
Have
a
you
jar.
seen the new one though?
No, tell
This
me.
new one, a guy he has logos of teams on eggs, and he just goes bang, and
And
whichever,
whichever
egg,
egg breaks is going to be the loser. Whichever one holds true is going to be the winner.
that's facts.
Okay.
That's,
They don't both break.
no,
Is one
only
of them
one breaks.
hard-boiled and he
Oh,
doesn't
I
know?
don't- It could be Cap. It
I-
could be
Maybe,
Cap.
That
maybe
makes
it's
no
the,
sense
the
to me.
momentum of which I'm strong. You know what? Look, we can think about all the
Right
physics.
arm
We can go
always
to the green
wins.
room. We can
Tryndamere spec. Sorry.
we can do the maths about it in the green room, Tally,
Yeah.
because Chip Selector's ready. It's game 1.
Let's do it, Nat. Let's jump into another game between two hotly fierce rivals, really, it has to be said. Coming in at second and third to end out last split. Team Bliss on the left-hand side, Diewolves on the right-hand side, and a bit of a different approach. Nico is banned. That means, right, that Cassante has to be locked in as the different first pick priority, whereas Diewolves instantly snap back and say, Aphelios, Annie, that's ours.
Yeah, straight into the picks here. Annie going to be taking Chaz, of course. Well, massive sigh from Chaz. Have to be facilitator again. I have to ban the fun champion away. Understand that feeling. Dealing with a Cassante, however, who is also a flexible champion. So Bliss still with a pretty strong first pick. Now have the opportunity with the Nico gone to go for a 2-3 of their bot lane and look for like a Jinx Lulu into bans or something if they would like, right? But
Ooh.
instead, you know, we spoke about why not liking those AP champions in the jungle role. Big fan of this Elise for
And
him.
so why not special, isn't it? I
It
think
is.
you've mentioned multiple times, sung his praises about just how creative his pathing was, how unpredictable it would have been as to, well, why is the Elise here at this particular moment in time, right? So it's been a key component as to what's allowed Bliss to have some of the best stats across Split 1 of being so aggressive and so strong in the early game. But Diewolves instantly snap back and say, Kindred, you might be good at it, but we know that Poltron is a damn good Kindred as well.
You would almost say Poltron is the Kindred player, right? You've seen it more recently from Bliss. Yes, they played it in the LCO finals against the Chiefs, I believe, in game number 3. And you saw some very good stuff from Wynot. Knows what he's doing, knows the tech. But Poltron is a Kindred and a Shaco player. If those are two champions that I think are core with his identity. And so he sees the Elise, he sees the Cassante, he sees the Jinx and says, no resets for you, no getting excited. We're going to have that Lamb's Respite ready to stop you.
Yeah, so strong at negating a lot of a burst composition, potentially denying Jinx in front of that ever necessary reset to really get the floodgates open for success in those massive team fights. What is the case now? Well, Nara's still up and available, but Jax has been denied away as well. We've seen Zoranus was ever so good with those Jax performances. How many times? 3 4-man Counter-Strikes? It was a little bit illegal.
But of course, by going for this Elise and banning away the Jax, they are still going to leave the floor open for something like the Lulu to be banned away, right? So potentially another Enchanter to follow through here from Diewolves in the bans if they would like. Jinx is one of those interesting champions. You would love to have an Enchanter with her. But at the same time, regardless of the composition, if Jinx gets excited in a team fight, then Jinx is good in a team fight. So you can consider that Lulu could be great, but what if instead you have Assassins and then you just put a Nautilus with it, right? Nautilus engages the Assassins, one-hit that person, suddenly Jinx still good. So, I mean, there's possibilities there, though I would always prefer to have a Lulu on my team.
Yeah, it's just so annoying to try and contend with, isn't it? Malphite actually going to be the final ban here from Team Bliss to try and prevent any kind of backline access to instantly find the target and assassinate them very candidly. The Renata, not a champion we see ever too often, obviously very strong in its own right, but I feel like this is almost a fact of we have 2 AD carries to a degree. We don't want to really have too much friendly fire.
And I'm wondering if it's like a Jace mid-angle or something, or if the Malphite is something they were just genuinely afraid of for Lemus. As this Gragas gets locked in, that confirmed solo laners are just going to be flexed between their roles. And Arkia, the first time that we get to see the man play in the LCO, the first time any of you guys get to see it, he's going to go for the Thresh.
Nice flashy champion, isn't it, to showcase just how mechanically gifted you can be, as the final pick is going to be the Ornn. Coming out here from the Diewolves, ramping up for a long game it seems to be. They want to make sure those ornaments come on through and they have the better team fight, both for facilitating and for just outright winning. And it feels, I don't want to say on brand, I mean there's definitely elements of it for Team Bliss, but for Diewolves it feels like a bit of a shift to what has made them good in the past, but at the same time they've switched things up a little bit.
Yeah, so a couple of things for Direwolves for me, just as a whole, before we get into this game, is if you think back to their identity and their wins towards the end of the first split, it felt like a lot of it was on Chaz.
Yeah.
And his ability to carry. He was playing Aurelion Sol, right? He was scaling. This isn't a scaling meta for him anymore. It is, you know, Nico ults, Annie ults. Yes, you might be able to take someone out of the fight, and maybe Lemus is going to have a very bad day on Summoner's Rift. But at the same time, he's not going to be that 1v9 champion, unless it's a miracle Tibbers drop right onto people that are grouped up. Zoranus, who we would say is Jax, is Nah, two major champions that come to mind when you think of him, and that ability to carry isn't going to be the carry anymore. It is instead Poltron and Praedyth that we are looking at, and Praedyth definitely took a back seat with Direwolves, but it has now become so much more of a bot-focused meta that Praedyth is getting an opportunity once again to come back into the game, to come back onto the Rift and show that his form is still there, now that the meta has come back to him.
And we know he's got that in his locker. He's certainly proven it in the past, farming pentakill, showcasing absolute brilliance. It is, absolutely, right? So you build a composition around him and you say, if this is a meta for you to pop off, then it's your time to shine. And it's your time to try and showcase up against one of our fiercest rivals, really, to try and really wrestle with the best coming into a playoff position. It's another best of 2. It was always quite exciting to say that now, a chance to try and see really how teams can adapt between games 1 and 2. But in this occasion, it starts with Bliss on the left-hand side and Direwolves coming in from the reds. And a case to see, will we get any level 1 shenanigans?
And best of 2s is definitely an adapt or die situation, right? It is from the gates. If you don't get that win back, you just don't get any points. You have to be able to be strong in game 1, but even stronger in game 2, or everything gets thrown away. Direwolves more grouped up early. They're going to be spotted by a ward here. They do not have a sweeper in their inventory. They are just putting their heads in, trying to place a ward as a team. With that in mind, why not has actually switched to the sweeper himself, and Arkia also has one. They saw where that ward got placed, so I would not be surprised to see Daystar and Arkia share that experience just between the two of them. Why not's actually going to get it as well? Because he can. I think that actually does still affect. Did they change creep experience? I don't think they did, right? That affects mid lane's experience either way.
It's a minuscule amount that Daystar's managed to pick up as a result of that one.
We'll see if the tech head, why not, has managed to min-max some kind of epic jungle path when he steals a ward away. Either way, he's going to be getting leashed for. It's going to be on the top side of the map. This is the place where a lot of the action will most likely take place, as Bliss have nullifying lanes in both mid and top.
So the big question mark has to go towards Zakia. New support on the team, replacing that of Benvi. And it's a question as to, well, how well can he really work in tandem with Lemus? They were a partnership for the best part of 2 seasons. New ideas in mind, new team as a whole. And it would certainly send a message to the rest of the Rift, or the rest of the league, I should say. You know, you've been put on notice. This is our debut, and look how strong we can be.
And you can see Arkia, of course, starts with the Flay. One of the best reasons to have that Flay is if Nautilus hooks you, just flay him away. He's too far away to get that auto attack off, so he will not be able to follow through with some kind of CC combo.
Oh!
Nice hook.
That was disgusting onto Deco. He tried to buffer it away with a hook, but just got completely cancelled out by that death sentence.
It is tough to Nautilus buffer a Thresh hook because it has multiple pulls in it as well, so you're kind of reliant on that hook carrying you some distance. You get pulled back a bit, but like you've already covered the distance, so tough to do. Either way, nice little hook. The other thing as well, Skimmy, just while we were on that bottom lane, is remember that Lemus has spent so much time with Benvi, who is now gone from the Bliss roster.
Yeah.
He now needs to deal with someone who you would have to expect is a very good player, but just came from Korea and may not have the English skills or the lane synergy with Lemus to make it work, as Liv spot a bother.
Yeah, speaking of lane synergy right now, it's a 1v1 between 2 bruisers right now, procking their grasps and getting ever so low as a result of this one. Both down to sub 25%. As the wave is favourable for Zoranus to force a crash at this stage, but it's a valid point, and that's basically what I was alluding to before, right? You can be mechanically gifted, as you can see right here, play into the chompers and say, Lemus, deliver the pain and the punishment. And maybe you don't even need to communicate. It's just watch what I do and follow after me.
Decoy simply struggling. This superior hook right now coming out of this Thresh. Earlier, Bliss were spotted, but they have crossed over to the other side of the map. Poltron looks like he's just going to try and help clear as he passed through from mid to the bot Scuttle Crab to ensure priority. It is a Kindred, remember that. Marks are a major priority, but the great work of Akia and the follow-up of Lemus has secured both Scuttle Crabs for the side of Team Bliss, and they take that all day. No first mark for this kid.
That is certainly a win on two different fronts, right? Vision control, mark denied. And an early game jungler like an Elise that has free reign to do as she may please. Where does she want to go? Well, be very hard then for Direwolves to track as a result.
We are seeing here as well the first strike for Chaz on this Annie. It is a tank, it is a melee matchup as well in mid lane, so you should be able to get a lot of those procs off. There's no way that a Cassante can stop you from having first strike. So I like it for a bit of extra money generation, and then of course you have the 10% bonus damage when it's up in team fights. So you're expecting pretty good tempo here from Chaz in the way of resets in farm and in item spikes and purchases.
Oh! Agonizingly close.
Love the idea. Love the idea.
Agonizingly close. So close. And as you say, it was, look, really nice. If that worked out, you'd be singing their praises till the cows came home.
Caught him sleeping, you know? There was a world that he gets a summon a spell trade and he has the Hex Flash and it's just advantageous. Instead, it is just the Hex Flash that gets popped from Akia. And that's the thing, you know? You take a flash away from a Thresh, doesn't care. He doesn't care. Yes, he missed the E, doesn't matter. He's alright.
Well, there you have it from the Dare fan vote. Everybody else seeming to be aligned with us as well and thinking that Team Bliss should be the overwhelming favorite in this one, with 83% of you voting it that way.
That's a very high percentage, and I do want to remind people that Direwolves were the winners of the regular season of the LCO in their first split. They were top of the table. They still were third place in our league. You look at the players on this team and you still think they're very good players because they are.
Yeah.
And you heard from Chaz as well, potential upgrades coming.
Can only get
in
better.
the coming weeks.
Yeah.
That's a very high percentage in favor of Bliss, and I get it. We all predicted Bliss 2-0 as well. Just thought maybe there'd be more Direwolves believers.
We'll have to see how this game pans out as to whether or not they can upset the Dare fan vote, because as it stands right now, it's Poltron on the hunt, looking for an Elise. Oh my god, what was that? The rappel into a landed into a You Will Not Catch Me. 4 members looking at the Elise, and the spider will not be squashed.
So you thought you caught him. Absolute magician act gets himself out. Sweeper going to be used here. They'll spot the ward, but the new sweeper makes it impossible to clear that ward, because I love that. So they'll pop their second charge and they'll take that one down. 3 sweepers on the side of Bliss. They are really looking for vision control, and Chaz.
He's found his target, and it was to be Why Not, and he has no mana left as a result of that one, so that's really going to be a first strike cash in, to say the least. Why Not down to 50% as a result. Might hurt his clear. I don't really think so. He just wanted some gold to go back to base. What he's going to do.
It kind of stems the flow of this game just a little bit though, right? Chaz, no teleport, no tibbers, no mana of course, so he did have to go back. Just means that if they were looking for some kind of set play, maybe threatening it at Drake, it's gone. And so the second place prize was just the ability to get some money, get a good base off and not miss anything in mid lane. So just one of those situations where you take it. Best of an okay situation. We do pan back towards a lane where they've hit enough items that it no longer matters.
Yeah, we've got a Cole on a Ornn. Not an item I've seen in a hot minute, especially in that position.
Oh, bot.
Bot lane's where we're at right now, and Predator's forced to flash away with the white weapon out, goes in with the Moonlight Vigil, looking to try and take down Akia, and Decoy wants to go for it. Decoy will find it. Nautilus, the damage is ever so clean. Instant cleanse out of that passive. And for all the good work that Team Bliss did in the first 5 minutes, Direwolves found a moment to strike first.
Yeah, fantastic work. Poltron, Why Not also in top lane as well, going to find each other and diffuse any kind of top lane skirmish. Very nicely done from Decoy and Praedyth. Great use of the red weapons as well from this Aphelios. Keeps himself so healthy that there was no opportunity to trade. And we'll watch this one more time, because it felt very forward-facing from Akia. Goes for the hook, finds the hook, gets the cleanse into the traps. That is ultimately the perfect combo, but it looks like Lemus just a little bit too low on mana. The ignite was fantastic from Decoy, and he was just able to freely hit and cycle through his cooldowns. And the hook finds its mark, but the hook wasn't a kill. I think after that cleanse hit, you had to just accept that. But that's hard to see in the moment.
It's frustrating for Akia. It feels like he's done everything right in that play, just unable to be followed up upon as cleanly as they would have liked. A spread damage profile onto a Philios and Nautilus, they can limp away and then turn out to be the aggressors themselves. They certainly won't mind. That does now put them in the driving seat, despite Bliss finding themselves the very first two objectives, both Dragon and the Rift Herald.
I think overall, like for what it is worth, Direwolves, not just with that kill, but with farm in general, are finding themselves in a pretty comfortable position in this game. Nothing is blown out at all. You know, jungle farm is solid. Poltron's still going to be a carry. He's about to find Akia, who has got his flash back. The sweeper reveals. Very surprised they don't go for this play, maybe waiting for Chaz.
Poltron, bear in mind, still hunting for those marks, currently sitting on 1. Has certainly been denied on that front.
The opportunity just disappeared though, Skimmy, completely. There was a moment there, but that moment's gone.
Oh, there it is. The flash hook in with the flay again. Let's run it back like we did before. This time, Decoy nearly gets pulled at that Lamb's Respite, and the Chakrams.
Oh, he's got him. He's got him.
They've traveled through space in time, and Lemus is absolutely infuriated by that one.
You can't give prey to the Philios. That is the #1 takeaway from a lot of our time spent here commentating on the LCO. He gets it and is putting on a clinic so far. Very well done mechanically to secure that one. And a good little counter gang from Direwolves. It was clear when they didn't go for that play in River, they were there for the counter. They stand and deliver in a big way.
They certainly do. And it once again starts from the Fresh being proactive, saying, I found a target, let's go for this one. But
Daystar wants to contest this one. Poltron has no Lamb's Respite. This is a marked Scuttle Crab. Poltron knows it's not safe, but he wants it. Oh,
he needs it.
God, he's hungry. That Gragas keeps moving every time I go into the river.
The self-discipline to restrain yourself from saying, I need it, but I can't have it.
Does not dip his hand into the cookie jar. Why not does not venture any further either. There is a Nautilus just there. I think they turn on Why Not if he's not careful.
Chaz with a flash ult ready to go. A Hex flash across the wall. Why Not is the target. Oh, the good route. That's going to deny Chaz. Then the Lantern out. I mean, it's perfect. Really denying the kill opportunity. In comes TP now from Liv. Really here to make sure that nothing's going to take place. The hook, which barely misses as well. And a second dragon spawning that both teams are now very much eyeing up.
A fascinating series of plays here. Direwolves so focused on the counter punch. So focused on the counter play, and Bliss seeming to just get their reactions in time. Everyone's now grouped. It is a fight that could take place around the Drake, but Bliss, we'll see if they commit to it.
Lemus has found a turret play. He's going to shove in this wave. The
Eyes
Herald
on
is
Chaz.
coming in the river. The Herald is going to go for that turret as they go and do this dance right
Look
now.
at Chaz.
Lived across the wall. Chaz looking for the Tibbis. Finds onto 2. Cask explodes! And the Drake has been taken. That's 2 to Bliss right now. But can they find kills? Well, they can certainly find Pranav, who's life leashing. The red weapon is keeping him going. But finally, the rocket launcher is there. And Lemus has had enough of losing it in the laning phase. He wins it out in the skirmish. And they finally find a fight that evens out the playing field.
From 1,000 gold down to almost 1,000 gold in the lead, suddenly Bliss find their moment. Their skirmishing still so strong. You watch this fight one more time. Liv looks to dissipate, looks to separate them. Akia perhaps threatening. They're so clumped together, threatening for a flash Tibbers. But Chaz doesn't find a carry. He only finds a support that had used everything already. And Praetus is just dealing with the most oppressive Cassante running him down, which means that Lemus has free time to get excited because all of the damage was laid down so early.
And you see how close that was. Just as Praetor falls on down, there is Chaz with the stun across the wall to make sure that Lemus doesn't get that one final auto attack off. It's too late. It had already gone off. And I mean, this game really does feel like a game of very, very small margins.
It definitely has felt that way. A lot of teetering around the edges of these big decisions, but no one willing to make the plunge or take the play themselves. The Drake invited that opportunity for the first time, and it is Bliss that come out ahead. Still, in terms of coming out ahead, the biggest win here for them, I feel like, is above all else the fact that they got those 2 Drakes very early on, so they are still in the driver's seat with objectives, because as gold is concerned, everyone is still quite comfortably farming. There is no particular carry that is behind for either team, especially now that Lemus was able to get those early kills, built himself a Kraken Slayer as his legendary item now. No Mythic done just yet. The Praetor has also gone for that Storm Razor, the staple now for most ADCs.
Yeah, seems to be a reliable rush item. No longer slowing, but instead granting you a massive burst of move speed as a result. Deep flank coming in here from Bliss right now. But Praetor and the rest of the team are pushing forward. Arkia is the target. He's flashed away, maybe buying precious seconds as the turret dive continues. Poltron is the focus now. Lamb's spike goes down. Chaz finding the mix of things, looking for the target. No flash, but he has the ultimate. But his team is falling around him right now. They're forced to disengage away. Daystar says no, drags one back in. Decoy says yes, and runs back to where they came from.
And the end result is that Praetor does go down, and it is a 1-for-1 trade. You can see some plates being taken in top lane by Lived as well. Bliss, I still think, get the better end of this trade, and I do think we'll be happy with that overall. Watch this skirmish one more time. It is Arkia that falls down as the hook finds its mark. Immediately responded to as well with a hook in kind, and they just try and keep Limus out of it, right? The goal is to get this Thresh, but then a wide flank appears, and Elise appears, and Jump Scare Spider comes through. Chaz is really just going to be here as a deterrent, and Praetor ends up just being stuck in the mix, right? He just couldn't go anywhere. The absolute threat of a Cassante in that all-out mode, like, what do you do once he finds you?
Yeah, looking for the Poltron, but ultimately finding a Praetor that was trying to play Zone D.
Got him.
He's been read like a book, played into the choppers. You just love to see it. I mean, I tell you what, Arkia is making a debut that you love to absolutely see. There is the call of the Forge God that comes across to wipe it out.
That was actually really nicely done from Direwolves to get the trade kill back, but I mean, like, yes, it was a trade kill. Let's just take a second to appreciate that absolutely rent-free in Praetor's head right now
it's mad life.
Is going to be this Thresh. Arkia is just living in the mind of Praetor every hook that gets thrown from here on out. Hard reads like that get you sometimes. Very nicely done. But still, it was actually an on ult, the R1, and just the wolf from the W that gets placed down the damage to secure the kill. So you take that trade. If you're the Kin, you're like, easiest kill of my life.
Steam Change just comes across. It wasn't stopping for anybody. Poltron, no, he's so keen to get that camp.
But did he get the mark, Skibby? He did. He got the mark.
He'll be happy at least for that. That's a worthwhile death.
That was his 4th mark. I'm calling worth. I cannot argue how worth that was.
There you go. You've evolved.
If it was the 3rd mark, it's debatable. Debatable. Not sure if that was worth it.
Number 4, though, certainly is the magic number to start feeling like a champion. And Bliss with a numbers advantage on the map will say, well, we've had a pick it a little when it's come to every objective on the map. So let's go 2 Drakes into 2 Heralds into just continuing
it was the
to
3rd
serve.
one.
The point's gone.
The jury's out. Has got his Trinity Force too, by the way, so has been subscribing to Why Not Be Friends on Twitter.
He's got the tech.
Knows the tech, knows the win rates, of course he would. Finger on the pulse with the Kindred builds. He's not the only one. A lot more non-mythic builds that exist right now, right? We've seen the meta at MSI with Nautilus going for the Abyssal Mask, even though it's been changed on this patch.
Yeah.
It's so cheap now and is so worth purchasing on a tank still. But now you're seeing Ornn rush it.
Oh, well
Hooks
done.
just go wide. Both ADCs, both top laners, no mythics. Just legendary items.
I mean, it's extending to the bot lane as well now, right? I mean, no need to really rush a Gale Force unless absolutely necessary. Infinity Edge rush feels pretty awful as well.
Here they come.
Here they certainly do come. This time it is an R2 on that Steam Train and it finds its target. Thresh is gone again. As the Dragon has looked at, but it was a bait to draw the members in. Now Direwolves, having committed that ultimate towards that fight, will look to try and find seconds. In goes Decoy, he's the focus, knocks out one, stands inside the Lambs' fight, and denies them of the death that they felt ever so warranted to collect. They'll turn right back towards this Dragon to say, we're not done, boys. You've got low HP bars than us. You've got to come back in.
Very well done from the Direwolves to deny any kind of Jinx passives. No getting excited, but Bliss still working forwards. Drake gone, teleport in.
Drake's gone, Liv TP's in, finds himself a very fragile Nautilus and is going to run him down as a result. Elise jumps up, jumps down, too squishy, too
Limus.
Too hard to find. All-out mode is found there by Daystar, completely isolating out the Ornn, and the Jinx has his way with the Praetor, which is the Aphelios, as Limus gets a double. Did the most damage, gets the ace.
And when it comes to crunch time, Bliss are just team fighting better. These skirmishers are getting scrappy, but it's in that scrap that Bliss look like the better squad. They'll get themselves back-to-back fights at the Drake, and consider how this starts. It's a pick onto Arkia. If you're Dials, you're thinking, great, we do the Drake, we've earned this, right? But then Daystar is still sitting on that flank. He's threatening, getting the Zentofu strike stacks up off the Scuttle Crab. And just being a presence. Gragas comes in. Why not able to use his Repel decoy? I'm not sure that's the target you should be ulting. But they deny the Get Excited stacks, right? They deny the Jinx passive. Suddenly they're like, okay, do we go for the Drake? Do we fight? Zoranus is keeping them busy, but a Nautilus has to go to base. And a teleport just pulls him out of the fight completely. And now they're stuck fighting because they were kind of caught between the fact that Bliss were keeping them there. They just kept them interested, then they get excited one time, and suddenly the Jinx, you saw how much damage was dealt in that fight, they just keep it going. Very well done from Bliss to make Direwolves indecisive.
Absolutely. I'm sure Deco would be kicking himself the fact that he recalled on a ward, which ultimately proved to be his own demise, and open up another flanking opportunity. Hook is on once again. This time Poltron will be shown a little bit of reprieve as Team Bliss are starting to pick up the momentum, starting to find their groove, pick it up a gear right now and find themselves in a 5k lead.
Because interesting thing for me, Skimmy, above all else, the Direwolves still made the right decision. With Bliss threatening flanks, they just took the fight. They just Ornhorned, right? They found their angle. They went forwards as 5. It was that after that decision where things got a little bit dicey. Where Bliss is starting to really, poke and prod and find themselves advantages. Reflected through the gold as well right now. Lemus, definitely a man possessed coming back into the LCO, has leveled up his game a lot between splits, or even towards the end of the split into this one.
Absolutely. Baron being teased at right now, getting lower and lower by the second, already at 3,000 HP. Tibbers across the wall. There is the full combo from the Annie. It's going to get stolen by Poltron. I do not believe it. He sacrificed his life for the greater good and they went into a pause. They're tilted.
They're tilted, they're done. They're done. Pause game, something's bugged, something's wrong. We'll see why we're into the pause straight away. Still very nice steal from Poltron. That's one of those situations, right? You make the Baron play like, this is it. We just take the flip. They lost the flip.
They flipped. I mean, really, from the side of Direwolves, they threw everything in the kitchen sink, didn't they? Moonlight Vigil, Tibbers, Poltron just chucks himself into the mixer and says, test your smite button reaction time.
Make it a lot harder to do the math, right, on smite times. You can't just say burst at 1500 if the enemy team's also bursting it.
Yeah.
So a lot harder to actually coordinate that one. Poltron does not miss those smites, I guess. I think he has been known to steal an objective or two in his time here in the LCO. So to no one's surprise, you give him an in, he's going to take that one.
I think this has some pretty huge implications in terms of really derailing a lot of that momentum that Bliss was starting to work their way towards, right? We just mentioned 5k gold lead was going their way. They were starting to find themselves in desirable positions to push in more waves, find more objectives. I mean, every single Dragon and Herald up until that point had really gone their way. Yes, Direwolves have managed to claim at least one, but they've been on the back foot for what feels like the most part. We've struggled to see Chaz find that decisive flank flash onto the Lemus, right, for example. It really has been an Ornn saying, here's an ultimate from downtown to try and find something. So perhaps this is enough to stall things out, deny a snowball, and give them that extra bit of power to go into the next team fight with.
And I guess the thing is as well, what have they been finding is a Thresh, and that's it. The angles that they have been finding is just the Thresh. So that's not enough to win you a game if the carries are still going to be able to fight and take that 4v5 and you've expended ults for that, right? So there's definitely a consideration that needs to be had by Direwolves on how we're finding these fights and these angles, because it's good they're getting the pick. It's just that it's not resulting in a winning situation, just an advantageous situation. And that's when they're getting picked apart by Bliss. Try and get those summoner spells off the Jinx, look for those Tibbers, right? See if you can get a Tibbers off without having to flash for it. Do the kinds of things that Bliss are doing with their Thresh, right? Like force situations that work for you. Then you can pull the trigger on the team fight and look for the 5v5 proper once you've pulled them into a bad situation.
I think certainly what we need for that really is the vision control, the ability to try and find yourself behind enemy lines, waiting for somebody to overstay their welcome and suddenly surprise jump upon them and find that one shot, be the facilitator, but also have a glimpse of what it was like once upon a time as a mid laner to be the carrier and the star of the show at the same time too.
I mean, you know they want to be a carry at all times. If
Absolutely.
everyone knows mid laners want to be the carry. Yes, I have to pick Cassante. It's a depressing week in scrims if I have to play Gragas Cassante.
To go from being, what, Lamborghini Aurelion Sol,
Yeah.
denied multiple pentakills, to saying, yeah, mate, just hit Tibbers in a stun and she'll be right.
Yeah, just drop Tibbers and zone him. Just zone him for us real quick, yeah?
You figured, oh, how fun is
Good
my
job,
job?
Chaz. You kept him busy.
Yeah, well done, mate. How much did your first strike farm up? Awesome. Love that.
It's really big trigger point in mid lane, as I would be certain to say. Imagine being an AD carry as well. You've built your whole life around being a carry. It's in your name. And then you're like, facilitator.
Yeah.
The whole last season's like, mid laners are more important now, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it
Just
would
accept reality.
be an identity crisis, wouldn't
Purple
it?
weapon Aphelios.
Yeah.
Purple weapon Aphelios.
Well, mate, just stun them for me and I'll get the job done.
I think this is a Jin angle here. Just press W for us, mate. Sit back.
Yeah, you just sit back, you take a back seat. Curtain call, nice. Well, the update from the production is that one of the players has had a connection issue, so hopefully not too long to get ourselves back into the action of what was a very chaotic few moments before leading up to that one. A Baron steal from the side of Direwolves with Bliss entertaining the flip. They didn't just half pause it, they didn't say nah. They trusted in their ability, and they've unfortunately rolled tails.
We are back in the game as well here from the looks of it, so thank you for bearing with us. Bliss, Baronless, are still going to be in the driver's seat for the present moment. That Baron steal, the question for me is, does it result in anything but just denying it from your opponents? Because that's kind of the way the map is situated. Bliss, you can see, starting to pressure, take some jungle camps away, get as much money as they can, while the Kindred is dead. But now back alive. Can they find themselves some outer turrets, break things that are absolutely necessary? There's bounties on these turrets as well, if they can sneak these away.
That's absolutely what they're hunting to really find at this moment in time. Rusty, 3 turrets to none. Direwolves would love to find at least one on the map. Open up some avenues for something like an enemy to flank. Hook goes out, doesn't hook what they need. A hit to Spiderling, of all things right now, as Lived is teetering on the edges of where could I be? Where's that flank? Where is that flash body slam? There's the explosive cask, and here's the pick target. Daystar forced to try and buffer and go back on through. Zoranus is now the next focus. Locked in place for what feels like an eternity. Call of the Forge God goes out. Headbutt completely misses on R2. And with a Baron buff, they are forced to disengage.
But once again, Skimmy, you're looking at a side of the Direwolves that have a Nautilus, an Ornn, and Annie, and they can't find their angle.
Yeah.
They can't find a way in. Chaz cannot find a way in because they are just playing front to back. There's a teleport that comes from behind them from Bliss, right? You want to go for this engage? There's going to be a Gragas here. Gragas is going to deny it. It's going to separate you, and it's going to be a pick in our favor. You see Cassante do the same thing constantly in this game as well. And I think that pressure from Bliss is really just throwing Direwolves off their game and kind of making them front to back, making them just 5v5 with no creativity in it and just getting picked apart.
Well, the concern is, how do we find a kill and where do we get that kill from? 4 members running down a Daystar who's saying, I'm not sure about this one, guys. You're kind of wasting your time here. Rest of the team have fanned out their attempts towards mid and bot and are farming up an absolute treat right on time and right on cue is why not to find themselves a soul point.
I'll tell you what a Trinity Force Kindred is not going to be able to do, Skibby. That is kill a tank Cassante. He's a little bit tanky. No Kraken Slayers. Just yet, anyway. Still a lot of DPS that comes out from it. A lot of pressure, especially towards the squishier members of the side of Bliss when he starts attacking them. When all said and done, Baron just fizzles out. And it will just result in a nice little play here from Direwolves, maybe getting a couple of turrets where they can. A bit of money in the pockets that's much needed. The Bliss aren't going to be too upset with it.
Going to be concerned, as we can see from the observers here, toggling the fact that there is a wide flank now being really threatened here by the side of Bliss to really punish the fact that, yes, Direwolves, as a 2-man contingency, you have shoved, you have sieged, you have managed to find 2 turrets, but you will pay the price for that. Nothing in life is free. Lamb's Spike goes down. Praetor finds the kill, the Moonlight Vigil. Pochon fighting for his life, barely surviving, but ultimately falling on down. Praetor finds himself a second, still fighting. He gets a shutdown, all-out mode on his head, and eventually Daystar takes him out of the mix. Shutdown galore across the board right now. His decoy is the next one on the chopping block, and Team Bliss are able to quite comfortably disrupt the pack.
The Direwolves will get themselves some kills. They get a lot of much-needed money in their pockets, but they cannot deal with this Gragas. They cannot deal with this Cassante, and they will just come in and be an absolute nightmare to deal with. Fight still goes Bliss's way, but still I would say overall, Divals will take that little skirmish, right? So watch how this starts once again. Arkia, full credit, just throws the hook, sends it, doesn't miss. He's just so confident how he's going to play this one out. Chaz, basically 0 health or mana to his name from the get-go, does buy time. Lamb's respite into the stopwatch. Limus gets excited. Praetor resolves after the Gragas cast to say, well, I'm getting this kill. I'm getting this shutdown gold, and does get it. So money into the right hands. But then along comes a Daystar that just hits that all-out mode and strikes Praetor off the map.
Really ran out of maneuvers, summoners, cooldowns, and ways to play that fight out. And ultimately, Team Bliss had the more members standing by the end of that big team fight. But look how close this gold divide is. Despite the fact that more turrets, despite the fact that more objectives, more kills have been found by Bliss.
The thing that I will say here, though, is it's for the tanks of Team Bliss, for Daystar and for Liv, very easy to itemize in this game. You know, you can go for the plated steel caps, you can build a Sunfire, you can make it really difficult for Praetor. So now he has to itemize his third item into a Lord Dominic's Regards. And then at the same time, a lot of these items share magic resistance. So the Annie's becoming less and less useful. But that also means that as a result, Poltron, who is not particularly fed in this game, still has good money, is going to be struggling to get good DPS out if they're able to itemize armor. So I think the natural pathway here for Bliss is just get that armor in for those tanks. Be pretty much unkillable. And Poltron's best utility is to keep the Aphelios alive and use that Lamb's Respite to get those kills. Become a second carry.
Just how strong Liv and Daystar are based on the itemization that you highlight quite rightly. Poltron is at those 4 stacks, or 4 marks I should say now, so feeling a little bit better about his ability to output that DPS. And the ornaments are coming on through now, evolving the Infinity Edge into something just a fraction stronger. Hook goes out once again. They just don't miss Rusty. I tell you what, they try to flay, they try to shove, they try to displace them out of the Lamb's Respite, but this ultimate is proving to be ever so decisive. There's an explosive cast, there's an all-out. You can stay grouped up as 5, but eventually it will expire, and so will you. Liv has been an absolute demon on these flanking angles all day long, but Predator's at that point in the game now that he can quite handily, with the Lord Dominic's complete 1v1 him. He needs to put some truck rims down, he would love to, but without vision, he dare stand up.
Praetor 100% has enough damage to deal with the rest of this Team Bliss squad if they're walking towards him, because he has got that cleanse, but they're not. They're going to go towards the Baron buff. Now, admittedly, health-wise, it's still tough to get, but I think they'll be fine. Daystar has the shields, Wynot has a lot of health that he gets back from those Spiderlings. So they will get themselves the Baron buff, but no casualties. And a very nice skirmish from them once again. Arkia finds the hook. It felt like they knew this was going to happen. They see Limus. They know something's up. So you know there's people in that bush. And I think Decoy has accepted that he has a Kindred. He has the ability to press R. But as he looks for that angle, it's gone. He stays too close, gets all out moded, and Daystar just gets himself out. Lived is never going to die. He's too tanky. And then the hook gets cycled through. The cooldowns come through. Limus has been cleansing incredibly quickly in this game as well. Has been kind of my star of the show. And they just get those kills, and Praetor cannot attack in the same way.
You can see a pentakill lining itself up there with all the members from Bliss limping their way towards that Baron, but the Moonlight Vigil burning a one-man affair to try and take down the Gragas. Chaz removed, hasn't had the impact he would have been hoping to try and find here on that Annie. As the double kill comes out near here for Wynot, the least from start to finish has really come into effect. 8-1 now, Rusty. He stays a bit of an AP specialist, but it's proving to be really the case here today.
And honestly, Bliss are just looking clean. Daystar's looking fantastic. Arkia, while he's 1-5, the hooks that he's been hitting have been so impactful to these team fights and these skirmishes. And he's aggressive, and that is what Bliss need. And Limus has just been left untouched through most of these skirmishes, gets excited, and like you just mentioned, Wynot has still been finding his targets as well. The reason I bring all of this up is I feel like Praetor is having a good game.
Yeah.
But he's just completely boxed out. Like, he can't actually get in to get kills and get these resets where Limus is having so much easier of a time. So if these ADCs are equally as good in this game, one team is not equal to the other. And once again, starts with a hook, finds his mark. There's no way you're winning this fight from now on. There's no Annie, there's no carry. And then Daystar, once again, finds an angle. Decoy doesn't get to exist.
You can just see here for Predator, the space isn't afforded to him.
Yeah.
To actually stand still and deliver the same amount of damage Lemus is able to provide.
Most of his damage is coming from turrets. His white weapon places on the ground is doing more damage than he is able to, really. Because he's not free to attack. He's constantly pressured.
Look at that now. Lemus actually going to go back to base and pick himself up a Guardian Angel at the 30-minute mark. He's the most fed member in the game at 14,500 gold. Farming up an absolute storm here with 300 CS to match the 10 CS per minute.
And we're kind of at a point now where Daystar is able to play like a carry because he has got the stone plate, so he is able to fake being a tank while in all-out mode with that extra shield, but he also has a stopwatch. So he's able to play hyper-aggressive now.
Hooks on and onto that man you just mentioned. Daystar is the focus. Arkia jumps across the wall, is going to be removed from the game very swiftly. Zoranus makes light work of him. Look at Chaz, late to the fight right now, running in as quickly as he can. Has Flash and Tibbers, but the fight might have just fizzled out before it even really began.
Yeah, once again, Arkia goes down, but it doesn't really matter for Bliss at all. They're able to just get their reset off. What are they going to look for? What is it the Direwolves are going to be able to do with this one pick that they got? Clear mid and just continue to get money. That's the best thing that they can do right now, is just look for those extra items. Maybe complete that fourth one for Praetors if he's able to get a Runarns or something of the like. And it, to me, comes down to one team fight. Direwolves are going to have to build themselves up for that one punch. They're going to have to look for that. You've got timings with an Elder Dragon that could be up soon. 4 minutes until that one, so that's 4 minutes of potentially farming and getting that Aphelios team fight where it's the Penta angle.
100% you're hoping for that Season 10 Aphelios Moonlight Vigil that just wipes the floor of everybody, and you're saying, this is what we built this comp to really do. That's your get at jail free card, but certainly easier said than done, especially given that there's another 2 minutes for the Baron and, well, 3.5 minutes now looking for an Elder.
That's also 2 more minutes to build armor for the tanks, and they are starting to get there. Hook finds its mark as well. And it's 2 minutes where they are pressuring you out. You do not get to exist. You have to be grouped at all times, so it's hard to farm. Thankfully, Praetor has got that fourth item done.
Maybe feeling a little bit of pressure is Chaz as he goes in, and it's not the target they're after. Daystar just goes unstoppable, completely immunes it. Moonlight Vigil goes across with the blue weapon, and it tickles them. That may have been their big punch, and that may have been their target before those windows open up at the objectives. And Lived wasn't there. It was a 4v5, Rusty.
It's crazy, man. Poltron is a fridge, and Arkia is just slapping magnets on him. Like, he cannot miss. And it's always finding the Kindred, which is the worst possible way to start these fights off. I'll go back to base, but again, picks going their way. Control of the map still going their way. Direwolves have been kept at bay. Direwolves have been kept down, kept back. Once again, it is about time, though, so they are still looking for those skirmishes, looking for those fights at one big impactful moment. And it is Bliss that prod, it is Bliss that poke to try and find their way in.
Well, there is that extra armor stack, and you just highlighted. Daystar's gone back to base and picked himself up a Fawn Mail. Liv now completing the Frozen Heart. They've had a big emphasis on being on top of Praetor to make sure that he doesn't have any impact. And that's going to make life even harder right now. All grouped up in mid lane.
I will say there's a lot of tanks on Direwolf's side, so if they're able to actually stand in front of Chaz and Praetor, it could be good. They've spotted Daystar, they know he's by himself, but they tried this last time and he simply walked away. So it's not something they're going to force the issue on by any means, and an overstep here means that Liv gets a sick flank.
Daystar's found Chaz. Liv waiting patiently. In jumps Decoy. Decoy's dead. Didn't get a chance to use the ultimate. No flash, no ignite. Hook's found up to Praetor. Instant claims away. Barrel is there. Daystar looking for that moment right now. Flashed again. Looking to try and pounce and find his target. Zoranus is removed. They call it a Forge Gold already burned. Daystar goes gold and lands the spike. Still ready to try and be utilized. But they run out of it, Rusty. It is an absolute fiesta. It's a clean ace. And Team Bliss are marching towards the next.
Yeah, so nicely done from Bliss. They just constantly threaten. They don't let Direwolves breathe. They suffocate them out of this game. And Bliss come back after their second place in Split 1 with a vengeance in their first game.
New player, same outcome. A team built for success. A team that defied expectations in a Split 1. But now those expectations being understood, they've come into this one and said 34 minutes in, we'll give you a show, but we are the winners.
And really clean, I think, overall from the team, playing a pick composition past mid-game and still being able to generate and find those picks, right? Like one of the biggest difficulties that teams could run into is you're playing Elise Thresh, you have to hit the cocoon, you have to hit the hook if you want to try and force these fights, and you're into a team fight composition that has got a fed carry. But they played the flanks really well, they pressured with vision really well, and they tried to make things very uncomfortable for the Direwolves side to the point where these errors were forced. Right, and through those forced errors, they got those team fights they were after.
I think that's the big thing for me is the flanking opportunities. The fact that you're always seeing Daystar and Lived always positioning from a different position, or positioning from a different
That's how that
angle.
works.
Yep.
Oh, two-head. From a different angle on the map as to like, where can we come from? What can you do? How do you actually stand up in a team fight? Do you push forward as 5 or do you look to try and say, hang on a minute, this guy's back behind me? As soon as that hesitation crests over in your mind, you're done for.
He who hesitates loses out. I feel like that's the saying that happened a lot in this game. What do you over?
It sounds right, but I don't know.
Stroke my
But I
beard.
think what she's
Yes.
saying is right. No, it just felt like Direwolves were able to get a pick off, but instead of being like, all right, let's disengage, let's go do something else on the map, let's take a different objective, let's find something else for ourselves.
Yeah.
They hung around, they lingered, and then all of a sudden, Bliss are like, all right, team fights. We know we can hold this, and we know that we can initiate better than they can.
Yeah, it seems like the story of this game was Direwolves would always find a pick, but most of the time they would overcommit resources, and Bliss would recognize that and still look for the team fight when they were down numbers. Like in this case here, you can see that they've already found the pick onto Thresh, but they know that there's no threat left onto the Jinx now, so she has free reign over this team fight, and she just fires away and takes down the entire team.
Do you think there's a weakness in the lineup of Team Bliss's champions where Direwolves could have taken advantage of this? Or do you feel that they had it pretty covered from laning phase, they had that early aggression, they were able to then have that team fighting power, and really there actually wasn't that much of a window. Every time Direwolves stepped out of line, you're just like, this is just the unfortunate reality.
I wouldn't really say they had a clear advantage from laning phase, but like the obvious thing is if you kill Jinx, there's no damage left on that team, and they have really good diving champions. So I think if Direwolves had better opportunities and they prepared better around objectives and they found that pick onto Jinx with either like the Normal Assault, Flash, Annie, Ornn, like they have so many different tools to get onto this Jinx. Like when she dies, there is no damage left in that team and Affiliates could just have free reign on the fight.
Yeah, I felt like the ADCs, they just had it on lock to pick off Praedyth, whereas on the other side, Direwolves, just wrong sort of target, wrong sort of initiation from them.
Yeah, a lot of the fights kind of, especially from the Direwolves side, resulted in, well, we've got Arkia, you know? We've got the Thresh, we found the support, but they can't quite get to the Jinx. And I don't know if it's impatience or if it was, like you were saying, perhaps it is just the way they were setting up more than anything else. Direwolves maybe were too one-dimensional to be able to get to the Jinx in this front-to-back fight, because there is too many flanks and threats from Bliss to just stand in front and say, what are you going to do?
We thought it was a little bit more of initiation because we wondered, like, is there a certain champion that they could have just changed differently on the lineup? Was there an item that could have been just slightly different and you're able to burst through a frontliner a bit more and get to that backline? But it felt like they had the right tools, they just weren't being utilized properly.
Yeah, you definitely have to get creative in these kind of games. Like, I would have liked to seen Chaz find more flanks. I think that like going purely front to back is extremely hard. Like Thresh can just sit back with Lantern and he is doing his job, and not being able to get on the Jinx, I think that like the front to back is obviously going to be really hard. There's not many like pick tools you're going to find if you're just like hooking tanks all the time. So those are the kind of situations that would favor Bliss.
But that's almost the point. Like they couldn't flank the flankers.
Yeah.
Because they were constantly like, oh, there's a Daystar, and hang on a minute, there's a Gragas, and like, wait, hold a minute, like, oh, I'm just gonna ult Tibbers, you know, a Cassante, and he just goes and stop him. You're like, well, I just hate my life. Like, okay, what am I
Season
doing?
13.
I guess like
Yeah.
you could ask the question though as well, like if that was a PCS team that Bliss were versing, do they win that? And I think one of the things that lost OS our games was the ability to flank from the PCS teams was so good. So it does bring up that question of like, can Direwolves solve that? Because if they can, then we can like level up, you know, to have these conversations and practice in scrims against teams that can flank better.
There was a very specific moment that we wanted to take a look at, Tally. We do have the replay for it and just sort of break down exactly what we've been talking about in terms of the issues of the pickoffs and the team fights.
Yeah, so this is the same point I brought up before, but like Direwolves initiate the pick onto Arkia, which is really good, but the moment they use all these tools to kill Thresh, like Lemus doesn't feel threatened anymore in the team fight. I'm pretty sure Annie uses her flash as well here, so he is pretty much untouchable from this point, and they are confident contesting those down numbers. As he can just walk in, he can just auto, he can get so much damage off, and there's no threat onto him. Whereas Praedyth is constantly looking around and is like, oh, like, where's Cassante? He's going to take me out. I think that these kind of like situations, if you're able to recognize, even if you're down numbers, that you can still take a fight, it's really good.
Do you think there's a realm where they could have fully reset from this? I know they're obviously fighting around Dragon right now because they want it, like they want to contest it, but could they have fully disengaged, or they did the right things up until this very moment where we see Team Bliss sort of capitalize on it?
I just think they tunneled on the fact that they had a numbers advantage and they didn't fully like respect that they can still lose the fight. I think like you just sit with the control and you wait until you get another Nighthawk and you do the same thing again.
Yeah, which is very similar to something that Bliss were doing, right? They were waiting for that thresh hook, they were waiting for that Elise cocoon or that flank to be successful. So maybe it is a case of take a page from the Bliss playbook in this game on how they were able to actually take you out.
If fights were more spread, Skim, do you think it would have been more advantageous or less advantageous for Dials? Like, let's just say everyone just split, right? Is that better or worse for them?
I think fights in isolation potentially could have benefited Praetor, because you saw that one occasion where he got to just go 1v1 against Livs Gragas and he just shredded him, right?
Yeah.
He's just like, well, you know, come at me. But I think the fact is they had too many zoning members, if you will, saying that you can't step past this line. You know, it's not a safety line for you, whereas the Jinx is just standing behind saying, well, there's no threat to me. You know, almost like these Romans just keep pushing on forward, their shields out, and I'm just like sitting in the back going, like, pew, 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 pew. Life is easy.
Classic quarterback tech.
Absolutely, right? You know, mixing a little bit of history with rugby, you know, a little bit of everything. So I think really for Bliss, it was a freebie. I think for Praetor, it would be, yeah, he would have been hoping that the fights were a little bit more split, because he had the damage, he had the items, just never really got to stand forward. It was always kiting. Oh, my team's dead.
Oh, it's just me alive. All right, I got to keep running. I got to keep moving. I got to keep falling back there. It is a little bit unfortunate for them. Benefit, it's best of 2. They are going to have a game number 2 for them. And looking towards it, Tally, do you think that they're going to be taking blue side? Do you think there's going to be a change up for the draft?
I'm not too sure. I think that Dials would they probably felt comfortable with their draft and they can recognize like they made mistakes. I think that like it's just the adaptation to what champions can we remove that would stop us from playing how we just played, or they're going to completely flip it, do something completely different. Hopefully they have like 2 different plans prepared, one for each side.
Yep.
And they come in next game and work on the mistakes that they made in the first game.
Before we go to break, I just got word from the fans. We have one that we can take a bit of a look at. We'll get it up on our screen here. Oh, Pancake on Victory Cam. That's what we're looking forward to in Split 2. That's actually now what I'm looking forward to. Thank you, Jake.
Absolutely. We need more Samoyeds in esports and gaming as a whole. There's like 3 that I could think of.
There's
now.
a few.
3's a larger number than 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you accountable to
That's
this, Jake.
crazy how
When you win
know
a game,
that.
you need to do the dance with Pancake.
Also, I can't wait to see Jake in his first match against Bulldog. It's the biggest bot lane matchup
He
in
can't
history.
fit on camera.
Yeah, they cannot fit. They cannot share the same space.
All right, well, let's head to a break so then we can get into game number 2.
Daystar found Chaz. Liv waiting patiently. In jumps Decoy. Decoy's dead. Didn't get a chance to use the ultimate. No flash, no ignite. Hod's found it to Praetor. Instant claims away. Barrel is there. Daystar looking for that moment right now. Flashed again. Looking to try and pounce and find his target. Zonus is removed. The Call of the Forge gold already burned. Daystar goes gold and Lambs the fight. Still ready to try and be utilized. But they run out of it, Rusty. It is an absolute BS.
That sound, and if I know like you know, then you know I'm down. Homies in the front, bass in the back. Can't forget the ladies, move to the left. Bet that you can bank on it. The way I'm ripping the kick and I never been faking the folk, I put the stank on it. Homies in the front, bass in the back. Ain't no time, you know where it's at. Ain't no messing around. Ladies in the front, bass in the back. Ain't no time, you know where it's at. And you know that I'm down. You know where it's at. Yeah. Whatever I want, I can have it. I'm exceptional, way above average. Obstacles don't stand a chance. You against me, better make up the plan. It doesn't matter what nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they counted you out and they left you for dead. It don't matter, you still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. If they counted you out, it doesn't matter, you're still gonna win. Playtime is over, now finish them. 100%, that's the minimum. I don't listen to them, they some liars. Before you beat the odds, you gotta be put through the fire. Yeah, so I take on every challenge. Life is full of ups and downs, you gotta find a balance. When you're down and out, you find out who really got your back. Listen to me closer, cause you know I'm spitting facts. Yeah, we are not the same, I'm a Wolverine. You thought I was dead, just recovering. I was just a bad hand, I just play my cards. But all I need is one shot, like a shooting star. Running out of time, gotta take a stand. I listen to you long enough, now here I'm my demand. Failure's not an option. Throw away your red light, cause I'm not stopping. Yeah, it doesn't matter what nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they counted you out and they left you for dead. It don't matter, you still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. If they counted you out, it doesn't matter, you're still gonna win. Yeah, it's checkmate if we playing chess. If you got a problem, better say it with your chest. I'm the #1 contender, ain't no #2. Cause even if I fall back, I'm still ahead of you. Yeah, cause we the winners, now we can't lose. Ain't no mission impossible, now we can't lose. Even though we outside, still get it in. You want the crown, get in line, there's been many men. Stop me, can't nobody stop me. Lately I've been on my own, can't nobody stop me. All they tough talking for the birds, now I'm furious. This will never end, so I'll never need a period. Yeah, so we gotta fly high. If you ever had a dream, put your hands in the sky. Yeah, cause we never going down. When it's all said and done, we gon' still be around. Yeah, it doesn't matter what nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. I know they counted you out and they left you for dead. It don't matter, you still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within. If they counted you out, it doesn't matter, you're still gonna win. It doesn't matter when nobody tells you. Believe in yourself, power comes from within.
He hooks himself back in. They want it. Kizzy's not able. And that pentakill.
Second, they'll find a second. Chippy is on an absolute tear right now.
Bliss versus Direwolves. It's our game #2 in our best of 2, so it is unfortunately the last game of the night. But I guess the good news is we still have the game to go through.
Yeah,
One more.
One more, and it's gonna be exciting because Bliss coming in as favorites. But there were a lot of moments for Direwolves. I feel like it's not a massive adjustment that needs to occur in game #2 tally for them to actually make it a bit of a draw series.
Yeah, I think they had a good showing in the early game. Like, you could see them finding picks and building leads. It was just that they were unable to hold onto the leads that they generated, and like their team fights were just like honestly not it. So hopefully we'll be able to see them adapt next game into either like committing to the pick playstyle that they were succeeding at, or just going full team fight.
Excuse me, do you wanna grab a bit of a dare?
Oh, don't mind if I do.
Yeah, look a bit parched
I'm
over
feeling
there,
a
mate.
bit parched.
A bit parched. Oh my god, he's fully gotten up.
Go for a
This
stroll.
man knows exactly how to work
What have we
the
got in here?
headphones.
Ooh.
I don't know which one you're gonna go for.
Grab some mochar.
There's
Have
no
a-
mocha.
Have a mochar. in
What are
honor
your
of
options?
Mackie, mate.
You can read out the options and we
Okay.
can ask Twitch chat.
Espresso.
Just my forehead.
Double espresso.
Double espresso.
Double espresso. Lactose free. Double
Oh, you're a bit of a lactose-free boy.
espresso. Nah, mate, all about the milk.
You're all about the lactose.
Tonight, I'll be drinking.
I hate that I'm in all of these shots.
Oh, you went for the espresso. Should we sit down?
Espresso.
Do you need a new profile picture?
Oh my god, that angle is just flexing.
You gotta hold one.
What's
It's Mundo throwing a cleaver.
You can't. That's the worst product placement ever. I can't even see the
You
logo.
gotta, it
mate.
has to say dare.
Beautiful. Oh my god, you're
Look at my
gorgeous.
passive-
Stunning.
Oh no, is there
passive
none?
smile.
Oh no, there is.
Glowing
I
king.
thought for a second there was none left. I was
I
gonna
am
say, oh, no.
tangled in the webs of tech.
All right. Thank you for that one. That was fun. That was my own little personal win. While you're drinking that one, side select! Oh!
See, I called it.
You
It's
did?
happened again. It's happened again. Why has it happened, Tally?
I think the main advantage of red side is a superior bot lane. Like you get to have your choice of AD in 1-2, and you get support counter, or you can ban for support in 4-5, which is like generally really good for red side, as blue side will most likely want to save their solos for later on in the draft and pick their bot lane blind.
Yeah, 2-3 bot.
Yeah, and you want to ban out the combos that are blindable. So red side usually has a favorable bot lane, and I mean, I assume this is why they're going red.
So do you have more faith in Direwolves running back this strategy? Would you put your Dare fan vote into Direwolves, Tally?
Well, you know, I already chucked my Dare fan vote into Bliss, but I do think it's good to run back on the same side you just played, because you do have the rep already.
Yep.
And you know what went wrong, and you can fix it straight away. It's really easy to just adapt and feel fresh on the same side.
Well, look, you've sold me, and I'm actually going to go change. So my on-broadcast talent prediction is 2-0 Bliss. Now I'm going to go use the Twitch channel points. I'm going to do my Dare fan vote, and it's actually going to be for Direwolves. So thank you for that one. It's a win-win, is it not?
It's a win-win.
I'll take it. I'll accept it.
Cheating the
I'll
system?
accept it. Yeah, it's
It's a fine line.
fair enough. Fair enough.
If Direwolves lock in Twitch Yumi, I'll have another drink.
If they look
Gotta
in
say
Yumi,
magic
will
trick,
you
mate.
down the whole entire Dare?
Shout out to Mac.
You want to see a magic
Want
trick?
to see
Matt?
magic trick, Mac?
Yep.
full.
Infinite
It's
Mac.
full.
It's full.
It's full.
Where'd it come from?
The only thing that's more mind-blowing than that is the fact that we have Champ Select, game number 2. Well, let's get
Wow.
into it.
Let's jump into
We're
it.
gonna have to keep this every time someone new joins the LCO. We have to show them some magic.
They just don't know. And that meme shall never die.
It's the magic that matters.
Everyone needs a little bit of magic in their life.
That's true. Champ Select is also magic, Skibby.
It's a magical experience in which teams pick champions, ban champions, and decide, did we win Champ Select or not? Let's see if Team Bliss will be feeling confident about their approach to this one as they open up with some very similar bans to last time. Triple jungle bans to say
Yeah.
Poltron, maybe get back on that Kindred.
Yeah, maybe stick to that Kindred because it felt pretty easy for Bliss to play against. That's definitely one of the places that did feel the easiest to play against, I think, overall. Keep in mind here, though, that Poltron's not limited to the Kindred. He just wanted to play it in the last draft. He's still a very good tank player. We've seen him on all of those tank champions.
Yep.
They're still good right now. The interesting thing for me so far, though, as we are, 6 bans and a first pick in, is that Nico was chosen to be banned again. I like that, but it leaves open the Cassante again. And I think that's that crossroads where, like, at the moment, it feels like blue side get more targeted bans. It feels like red side are forced to ban away the first picks. So if Direwolves chose blue, there's a world they could consider Nico and Cassante as bans or pick one themselves. So you have to have a strong 1-2 here on the red side to make that Cassante pick worth it.
Yeah,
Because it really did feel like Daystar did his job so well.
absolutely.
And that's still flexible with Liv.
100%. I was just going to say, Lived will still be available if called upon to lock that one in to have fun with. Philios, no surprises there. I think I like the point that Tally already mentioned. Run it back, especially if you're playing on this red side. I don't think the Philios was the
Okay.
problem as such. Pair it with the Lulu this time, as opposed to saying we need more engage,
Yeah.
we need more support to make sure that the Philios actually can do damage.
And Decoy can play things like the Nautilus, can play the Braum as well, but you would think of Enchanters when you think of Decoy. That's kind of always been the case, so this feels much more comfortable for me for them. Bliss on the other side, however, Nautilus still firmly in their meta. You go around the rest of the world, you're seeing all these Yumis, you're seeing these Milios. Not here. We got Lulu, and then we've got hooks. That's it. We got hooks.
Why support when I can kill?
That's it. You don't need to shield your allies if the enemy is dead. That is just facts.
Oh, it's a Chaz special.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he sees the Cassante. You can assume if it's going mid, you can have a lot of value from those rocks. You have the ability to make a lot of money as well with that first strike. And also very quick map rotations.
Yes.
Because you're not going to see like a Silas response to you unless, right, it is going to be flexed. And if it is flexed, you still have some utility into that Silas. I don't think you're upset with the matchup.
And I suppose that's also the gamble now, whether or not you feel like it's a necessary ban. How rent-free is it in your mind as to we need to ban away the Silas? I don't mind the ban towards the Elise. I think why not have a little bit too much fun and for them to express themselves in that game. But What else would they consider is a must ban? I suppose we throw the hammer across now to Team Bliss, who say, well, Zoranis, let's look to try and limit your impact once again too.
And getting rid of this Jax, I think, is still a very smart decision. Jungler hasn't been picked this time from Direwolf, so you still have like the Jax Sejuani, who can play very aggressively towards that side of the map. Nidalee going to be taken away here as well. AP Champions in shambles. Very interesting choice here, I feel like, overall. Let's just take a second to consider that Gragas is still available. All these bans, Gragas is still available. And what's to stop Bliss from Gragas Yasuo comp stun? This is the only answer.
Oh,
And it's not going to happen.
this is another one up Poltron's sleeve, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Poppy to make sure that if you're going to hard engage, then I can look to try and deny that pretty candidly. So they have given across the Exodia that you've just highlighted. Question is that what Team Bliss wanted?
Yeah. You know what's interesting to me as well, Skimmy, is both Taliyah and Poppy are very well equipped to deal with dash champions, right? Denying them completely.
Yeah, sure.
You dash over the rocks, you take damage. Use the Poppy steadfast presence. No one can dash inside that area. They get grounded. So they kind of throw a spanner into the works of compositions that you want to be playing.
Yes.
So it could be that, you know, you see the Viego now, you see the Syndra as a potential lock-in. They said, well, obviously we don't have to play Gragas Yasuo. It's not a must-pick thing. So they just go back towards a very steady, strong damage combo, right? Syndra bursts someone out, Viego gets that reset. Suddenly it's a very good team fight. They do have to do that into a Poppy that can use the ult. They have to do that into a Lulu that is very good at keeping people alive. So I think Direwolf's quite well equipped in this game still. Kind of want the Malphite just
I
'cause
did
it's
as well. I mean,
exciting,
it was banned away last game, right? They decided we don't need to this time. Gwen instead. There was the hover. I'm just wondering if there's an inkling of we need some way to dive this Jinx before she gets excited, before the rest of the team can look to find those resets, right? The Syndra gets a little bit too excited, plays Peel Protect almost like, you know, Rookie and Ruler in a way, right? Just space gliding around the map, just popping off like we saw in game one. Or
Yeah, I like comparing our carries to Ruler. I like that.
I mean, sure.
Lemus looking like Ruler at the moment with how he's playing.
Yeah.
Mechanic. I mean, Lemus could win MSI. Let's
100%.
be honest here.
100%.
It was hard not to laugh when I said that. we managed to. But adaptations from Direwolves in this game that I like, Skimmy, is that Poltron's back to his signature champions.
Yes.
And that Chaz is back to carries and meaningful DPS. I think those are the two big things for me. Decoy, of course, back to those enchanters is nice. Does mean that Zoranis gets more value from the Ornn upgrades, the ornaments that come through with both Chaz and Praetor to look towards. And Praetor was so good on this Aphelios, not upset to see him back on the pick.
And I think if their bot lane for the Direwolves can emulate the success they found in game one, then you're already happy about that. If Chaz can have a much stronger game two, I think if the Weaver's Wall is able to find avenues to attack those side lanes especially and impact the rest of the map, or potentially cut off those flanking opportunities which was such a detriment to them, this certainly could be squaring up to be a 1-1.
You ever wonder where Poltron is in his house? Just a black background.
I reckon he's got a gamer room.
You reckon he's got a gamer room? Why has he got a background then? You know what I mean?
Feng Shui?
What if he's in a garage?
Could be.
Yeah.
I actually,
You think it's for Feng Shui?
once upon a time when I lived in New Zealand, I actually did play in the garage. Tell you what, during winter, it was this big chicken game of who would move their computer into the house first.
Mate, you remember the commentary that we did when COVID hit us and we had the lockdown? I was in a tin shed in
I
winter.
remember.
I had a beanie on for a broadcast.
And we got beaten by our backdrops.
Yeah, we did.
Different
Yes,
sizes
yes.
and all the rest. Hey guys, I cannot move. I am literally strapped into cast.
Physically wearing a seat belt that is 3 meters wide.
Oh, dearie me. What a flashback to times gone by. Well, let's load in then to our second showing between these two highly anticipated teams, Team Bliss and Team Direwolves. Was a rather
That's right, Casante.
drawn out affair. Went, what, 35 minutes in game one, but it was Team Bliss that took the spoils. Game two, though, with similar drafts, similar approaches, a few different adaptations. Let's see if the result will be different this time.
A couple of really good adaptations. Of course, Direwolves, if they win this game, I'm going to keep reminding people because it is our first week back and you may not be across it completely. Direwolves winning this game will even and equalize the series out to be a 1-1 scoreline, and that is it. It is a best of two. And they will both walk away with 1 point. If Bliss are able to win this game, then they walk away with 3 points and Direwolves with 0. So it is very important to win 2-0 in best of twos for the bonus point that comes from that one. As we do jump into the game, just quickly, both top laners working with their junglers on the top side of the map. They will be pathing towards their bottom sides. Nice little hook here at level 1. Akia seems to be quite proficient with these hook champions.
All we need to see from him next is the Blitzcrank.
I want to see Blitzcrank. I really think Blitzcrank is good.
Yeah.
You just need to have the confidence to send it as a Blitzcrank, right? Like the full Mickey confidence. Just play Blitzcrank. You miss 100 hooks, but you hit that one. And that one wins the game.
Especially late game, you hit that one hook, and it's all on like Donkey Kong. Akia goes in once again, 2 from 2 so far, found 2 different targets. But this is the target he's really after, forcing Predator to expend every single potion available to him.
And the big thing as well with these hooks is that Limus is ready to deal damage, right? Positionally, they are next to each other side by side. So if that hook connects, an auto attack from a rocket comes straight through. And that is the sign of a good bottom lane duo, right? Which is nice because they are so new, but the confidence that these hooks are going out and that he's stepping up means they're communicating their intent very nicely, which is nice to see. They will also crash in this bottom wave just before the Scuttle Crab spawns, and they should be able to get a ward at the Gromp that sees this Poppy. So very nice movements here. Even though that ward is spotted, doesn't matter. They will see the whereabouts of Poltron in a hot second if he chooses to clear those camps. If not, well then logic says he's at the Scuttle Crab or he's ganking a lane.
Question as to what he was deciding to do there for a second, whether or not he wanted to try and blast cone himself into that bush, but still the blue buff would have revealed that he was there. Either way, bot lane with a nice little start, given the fact that they do have a Nautilus for that kill pressure, and why not now also going to be spotted on Vision. He's going to make his way towards bot lane as well, whether or not he's going to force the contest over the Scuttle, or actually just try to force a 1v1 into Poltron.
It seems like he is forcing the Scuttle Crab for himself. Daystar does seem to have a little bit more control in mid, and the permanent push from his bottom lane as well means this is all but free. So that will be secured. Akia, of course, venturing down towards the river area, just in case something were to happen to be there to secure him. Again, big fan of what I've been seeing from him. Still very much getting caught in a lot of those fights in the early game, in game number 1, but has his head screwed on correctly. It's obviously pretty important, I would imagine.
It certainly is.
For a game of League of Legends.
Absolutely. An explosive start to top lane once again, as it is to be lived. Playing the Cassante, a possible flex you mentioned very early on into that draft. I'm going to showcase that, hey, we like to get aggressive early game. We just want to farm grass, really, more than anything. Might not result in a first blood or any kill. It's a battle of the egos, isn't it? Who's going to step up? Who's going to trade? Who really wants that creep?
Well, when does it become irrelevant as well, right? They're fighting for grass procs, and then at a certain point, it just doesn't matter. They just stop hitting each other. They start dealing with the wave instead. Speaking of wave, this one is going to crash, and you'll see Liv try and get his Demolish proc off without taking any damage. Classic top lane maneuvers, but along came a Poltron.
Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely perfectly primed and ready to go. You've done a lap around the tower, and, well, a Poppy deals with that very nicely.
And I'm sure you got 160 gold. You're happy about that plate, but 400 gold in the pockets of Poltron will be loving life. Flash mid.
Instant reaction here from Bliss as a result. Chaz across the wall running behind enemy lines, and there's a single orb on his head that ruins his getaway.
Lovely flash from Daystar, but I think when all was said and done, it was still going to be a kill. Just the direction that Chaz flashed was so far away from any kind of help, and the Cassante teleported back in, so... Tough situation. Chaz makes the best of it, was trying to pull a rabbit out of a hat, however, to survive. And so they'll trade those kills back pretty much immediately. Nicely done by Bliss.
Ooh, I like the idea there from Akia as the minion dies, goes for the hook attempt. Not going to be successful on this occasion. Level 6s have been found, however, and Liv is going all out into Azorius, which is fighting back with the Bellows Breath. I'm not sure about that one. And Liv has found his retribution.
Gets him with the Sheen procs, fighting again in the river bottom.
We certainly are. Chase is here with the Weaver's Wall, cutting off the retreat. Why not is the focus very, very low, as 2 members of the bot lane from Pradev is going to be the one to try and find that kill. Chaz now respawning and, well, dead again, really. Limus so low. They can't find him. The zap across the wall will reveal his vision, but Pradev is dead. Akia finds that Limus taunting, and Decoy running a Glitter Lance. Anything.
Poltron has Hex Flash. There's a chance he helps him, but he chooses just to recall. Good luck, Decoy. You best dodge this stun.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he dodges one of them. He's gone. He's
Dodges
out.
the hook.
He's out. He's out.
Gets hit by the scatter of the week, but he's gone.
Okay, Decoy manages to survive. So as the fight fizzles out, it was just a couple of kills back and forth. Lemus is 1-0, but Praetus got himself a kill as well onto Why Not. Fighting in the river, just looking for those scuttle crabs. A lot of little picks, but no objectives secured here. It still feels like very heavily in favor of Bliss. And one of the largest reasons for that is what is on your screen right now. The fact that Liv was able to get this 1v1 off with a fantastic combo, hitting that all-out mode. Zonas could have left, though, at any point here. But the fact that he chooses to turn around, throw the pillar, press W, and breathe on him, just let the cooldowns come back from the sheen of that Cassante. You see the fight here as well. This starts off really nicely from Bliss if you don't look at the fact that Poltron had found Why Not. And suddenly Why Not nowhere to go, just gets locked down. Same could be said for Chaz, however, as he finds himself caught between these teams. And it was like fights that happened in different areas, just collapsing on one another.
And you can just see its frustration there from Praetor, flashing aggressively onto Lemus, loses vision, loses the kill, and loses the opportunity to try and strike again.
Yeah, very annoying to deal with. When the dust settles while the flash is gone, he did get himself a kill, so he's not out of the game or anything like that. He's even in farm and even in gold with Lemus overall. It's the rest of the map where that gold started to really stretch out just a little bit. Daystar, an absolute nightmare to deal with. Has been on the Syndra in the past too.
It's always nice to see a good Syndra pilot as well, as to what it can provide. So it doesn't get that much more carefree topside. Lived has had a sniff of blood and is going to continue to remind Zoranis that if you go for a trade, it's not going to end too well for you. Everybody here in the mid lane already, Rusty. I mean, it's only Praetor left in bot lane.
5 members strong here from Bliss secures that the Herald will be gone. You can see actually Lemus tries to go back bottom off vision. Does get spotted by a ward, so they know that he's going back down there, but it will be turret plates to go the way of Praetor. A wave that he got to clear as well, if you consider that 6 CSD is the difference. I like the idea of splash damage to get the cannon, but that's really what he was after. That's a very greedy boy from Lemus. Imagine if he had dealt for this.
We're on top lane again, and that Call of the Forge God had a lot left to be desired right now. Liv is juking, driving left and right he goes, and he's gone.
Gets himself out the second. The Poppy's not going to be able to charge him into a wall. There wasn't going to be any follow-up that results in a kill. Ultron not going to waste that ultimate, not going to overexert himself. And everything does just go back to normal for the present moment. Chaz, however, has been pressured, is stuck under this turret, is reeling from the damage that the Syndra is able to put down. Successfully clears, however, as we can set our sights towards the next Drake in 2 minutes is probably the next thing the teams will fight for, other than the Herald that is to be summoned. And I would imagine either side lane is good in this case. If you get lived at a good reset point with a Demolish proc, that's a whole turret. It wouldn't be a bad decision to place this top, try and threaten at the same time as the Drake if you would like. Drake's not a do or die anymore.
No, it certainly is going to coordinate itself in a very timely fashion as to what the next strategic move is here, especially from Bliss, given that they have all the cards up their sleeve.
Obvious choice is bottom though, right? Obvious choice is giving money to Lemus wherever possible. If you can catch Direwolves on a reset, you'll be very happy with that one. A plate already gone as well. Why Not, of course, is going to be hovering the area now, but consider at all points, if you choose to make a play bottom and Chaz is free to move, he'll be there so quickly. There's no teleport on your mid laner as well.
I'll talk about the timely fashion of using those objectives and what it can mean for navigating the map with that Herald in pocket, but also in terms of itemization, we are starting to find ourselves some of those mythic items coming online. We've got the Leandries as well as the Iceborne Gauntlet there for the side of Bliss. Direwolves slightly lagging behind, opting for a different item path in some cases here, but would love to even out that power discrepancy before they were to entertain that fight. They've got about another minute and 10 seconds to try and find themselves a push, a base, and a positioning setup.
Every time we look mid, Chaz has been chunked out. Just struggling. Feels like one stun combo from a Syndra and that's really it. And the constant pressure that exists from the rest of Daystar's team has made things so difficult for Chaz. They're keeping him down, they're keeping him out of these plays. Herald gets someone in mid lane to the last lane that we discussed, but with the control that he has in this 1v1, it would be rude not to.
Oof. I mean, even into the jungler, Poltron comes across and says, I'll try as I can, but it's not going to be enough.
We're going again.
Bellow's Breath trying to unstoppable frame it once more. They knock him up, he goes in for it, he's looking for Lived! And Lived is disabled a fraction. Dashed it aside as Why Not Blast comes himself into the fray of things.
I mean, overall, Zoranus did win that 1v1, has the health advantage, has the ability to stay in lane, so you call that a win, but at the same time, both top laners, this is an interesting point in the game, actually, where like maybe a Herald would have been better top at this moment. Zoranus has teleport, Liv does not, and so if a fight were to happen at the Drake right now, that is something that Direwolves would consider. They've got the Talia wall to get in there quickly as well, so they have to really respect right now Team Bliss what Direwolves can do. You can see they prioritize the turret plates, they prioritize their good backs, their good resets, and they probably just bring Liv down from that as well, right? Why teleport when you can walk?
You can see what Lemus's game plan was. He must be he really wanted that second plate in that occasion, but going to be denied here by Chaz, who's going to do the same also now with the Weaver's Wall. In goes the focus, the target, Poltron. No jungle, no smite, no dragon contest. They found the first one, but they certainly will not be guaranteed the second. As Bliss will immediately deploy as a 5-man unit. Unleash TP or not, they're here and they're ready.
Yeah, just so much damage, right? Poltron's build is not tanky. He's gone for the Divine Thunderer, hasn't even completed the item, so he's actually quite a fragile champion. A little bit of damage in mid lane here, though. Looking for the fight, perhaps. Direwolves trying to body them out.
Yeah, Chaz trying to find an idle target there, flicking somebody back into his waiting arms, but unable to secure that. Meanwhile, Daystar is saying, well, we've just found a dragon. We're going to find ourselves even more gold in the spot lane, and the odds have gone from bad to worse now if you're looking at that Dare fan vote.
You know what I think is really noticeable? Lived is actually looking for decoy. Ultimate's going to be used. If this knockback hits, he would have committed to that one. A Jinx Rocket would have just confirmed that the kill was there with all-out mode available for Lived, but didn't go to gamer mode. Just disengages. The big thing that I think we should highlight here, Skimmy, is how Direwolves are acting under pressure. Right? Because I think they have the ideas, right? They want to fight this Drake. They have a teleport advantage. But then Bliss apply pressure, and they just fold. They can't make a good decision to save themselves. Once that pressure has been applied, it keeps happening at the Drake. Why go for the Drake if you have a teleport and Lived is MIA when you could go for plates, 2 plates top lane, 320 gold, break a base open. You could flip the map, you could put the Aphelios up there. Whatever you want to do, right? Like there's just naming options.
I think that's just it. We've yet to see a trade. The sort of standing off with one another, and Team Bliss just walk in and say, that will be ours, thank you very much. And Direwolves are left reeling, thinking, well, what do we get in that exchange? Not a whole lot. That gold lead is now starting to really navigate its way away from the side of Direwolves.
Oh, big crit. Very big crit. Lemus doesn't have any sustain right now. He's just going to get a tiny bit of health back over time.
Oh, they found the shove into Arkia. It's a lot of damage on towards him. Moonlight Vigil actually committed to try and guarantee it. Now the stun goes out into Chaz, goes golden at the last moment, down to 20% as he comes out. Steadfast presence is there, but it's not enough to deny Why Not of that reset. He gets knocked up against the wall. Make it 2, make it 3. Decoy, of all people's the one to get the kill. As Liv rocks up, and he's ready to rock and roll. He is in gamer mode. He is looking to try and find those targets, and he is rocking and rolling as he tries to get Zoranus, but he's ready, and he's denying it.
Can't quite get through the Bellows Breath. It does seem like Bliss, however, have got the agency to push forwards. Lived has not turned off his all-out mode. You can see the flank potentially here from Poltron.
Here we go. Poltron's looking for it. He was so desperate for it. And Zoranus, I think, went a fraction too early. Missed the pillar knock-up, was forced to flash out, baits him, Poltron. And I mean, as you said once again, the idea is there, but the execution's lacking.
Yeah, and the Syndra stun just pushes back Poltron as he's dashing and cancels him. It's just one of those situations, almost akin to Series 1, where Direwolves sound idea, but on execution, they're just bested. Right? Anything that they try and do, Zoranus can't find the mark. Poltron gets countered in that play. You see this fight one more time because it starts with Lemus at half health and Arkia getting picked. Best case scenario, as per usual, they'll find their opportunity. Why Not also reveals where they are, and so they get the flick. Perfect start to this. Chaz, however, gets stunned next to the wall, and Akia's dying breath locks him down, and he's done. However, Why Not takes over the body and also gets stunned into the wall and picked apart. These are all positives, but if you take a second, where's Praedyth? It's because Lift has found him on a flank, right? He's able to hit that Cassante ultimate, and this is reminiscent of Game 1 all over again. That Cassante gets this angle the Direwolves aren't prepared for, because they are living and breathing in this front-to-back style, and this is the part where they try and go for a flank play. Lulu's used the ultimate on Zoranus, it's flashed away, and it's just messy, Skimmy. It's just messy and disjointed.
Yeah, the communication just seemed to be all over the show there on two different fronts, to say the least, and a team like Bliss will certainly not let that one go. All right, they will punish you for it. And a 3K Goldie that we were looking at only a couple of minutes before is now becoming just a fraction bigger. Make it 6, make it double, especially now that Liv has found a solo kill.
Turrets dropping, gold stretching, game starting to get really out of control for the Direwolves. They've managed to get themselves a Drake so they don't have to deal with an early Soul or an early Elder Dragon by any means. In terms of kill threat in this game, it's tough with Chaz being 1 and 4 and with the pressure they're able to put down onto him. But we'll have a look at what happens down here as well in bottom. Chaz quite simply gets hit by the 3rd and Tofu strike and gets all outmoded over the seismic shove, and it is just that simple.
Really good buffer.
Just that simple. Very
like
nicely done.
Yeah.
Here we go again though, grouped as 5, Skimmy.
We certainly are running it back once again. 3rd Dragon spawning, stun goes out, isolated target on towards Zoranus, full of the Forge God. Can he land R2? He's already hit the charge. He's going to try and knock it back. Knocks up 2. Buying time, but their HP bars are already so low. Praedyth, with the green and white weapons, he's already expended that Moonlight Vigil, so his damage from afar is going to be certainly hampered as a result right now. Limus is already attending mid lane.
Yeah.
Direwolves, the pressure's on for them to make this play work on the Dragon. It's deja vu from Game 1 right now. The rocket goes out, looking for Zoranus. He's dead. Why not? With the Heartbreaker does just that. They find a 2nd kill now, removing Poltra, and the Dragon is still there. It's actually going to reset. Direwolves are running the Moonlight Vigil, or rather the Wild Growth was used just to run away, Rusty. And underneath this very fragile bot tier 1, they've got nowhere to go.
And Why Not hunting as well, seeing if he can find them. Does see both Decoy and Praedyth. He's just going to slink away. Not to be spotted. Limus zaps backwards just to make sure the button's working, as Direwolves will get themselves towards mid to defend and lose their bot lane as a result. Bliss just have their read. They've just hard read Direwolves, and the playbook from Direwolves is so simple, so linear, and so basic that all you need to do is stand and deliver and have a better team fight. This Syndra is clutch. Limus is able to freely hit. Poppy ultimate goes wide, does not find Daystar. And they have taken the tanks out already. Zoranus is low. Chaz is dying to their Hextech Drake as it just picks them apart. And just a little bit extra poke is all that's required, right? Just that 1% more damage. Doesn't matter, we're watching fights again. Gotta bring that wall down.
I was going to say, we're right back into it. Chaz might have just bodied himself as he's forced to run away. Trinket goes down. Poltra now saying, please don't come anywhere closer. And the goalie just continues to go right up. The stocks are rising for Team Bliss fans right now. 20 minutes in, a Baron now has spawned. They flipped it last time, and I think they can guarantee it this time. There's no Poltron to steal it.
Poltron has been wiped off the face of the earth in a blink of an eye. He is gone. Poppy, as mentioned earlier, is not that tanky. Has also opted into the plated steel caps. Akia, this is the 2nd time in a row he's been flung. And he is still alive.
Oh my gosh, Zoranus is completely airballed. The Baron goes down, and Direwolves will basically escort Bliss out and say, yep, you take your buff. It is a 4v5, we will not entertain it.
Yeah, you go for the mid lane outer turret here, right? You try and get the shutdown gold for this turret, for this structure. It has a bounty on its head. You take that, it's worth something. Praedyth needs to work towards 3rd items, right? They need to try and find their money, but they're dealing with Daystar that is just so powerful and will just tear anyone to shreds that's in front of him. Not really seeing the easiest way back in here for the Direwolves bar mistakes from Bliss. And Bliss aren't liable to make mistakes with what we've been seeing of them so far.
It's been pretty methodical from them. One adaptation despite the draft, is actually the itemization coming out of Predator this time around. Went for the Infinity Edge on the Aphelios
true.
game 1. This time going for the Gale Force. Seems to certainly be a flex between the two as to what is your preference. Now does scale with crit chance. You only get stronger with that execution damage. It is quite nice in that regard now.
Certainly needs the mobility in this game, as well as Bliss are constantly pressuring. Flick just misses. Why not? Throws himself onto it, but at the same time, Daystar has shown that his R button is still working and has outplayed Kratos.
He's just too strong, Rusty.
Just too strong.
Single-handedly saying your comeback condition does not exist. We will assume ourselves what I can only call a 1-4 split.
Man. With that death cap done, it's actually just unrelenting. He presses QE, 2 buttons, and just scatterbrains them.
How do you step up at this point? You're locked inside your fountain. This is the prison you put yourself in, it seems to be.
Oh, that's
2-man depth charge. Zoranus can't play the game. There's another soul, there's another ability for Why Not just to continue to rampage on through. They found one inhibitor. And to add insult to injury, they'll use their Hex Gate to get out of the base. Is he going to live? He certainly is. Angry Behemoth.
Oh, the damage. Lemus.
Moonlight Vigil doesn't matter, but Lemus is getting excited. He's found that first kill. Chaz with the wild growth in his head. Daystar is godlike. We all knew it. We've all seen it. And there is the double. Lemus now saying, get this game over with. I've got things to do, place to be, and aces to acquire.
And on the back of one of the greediest stints from Why Not, baits all of Direwolves in. And just so clean from the boys at Bliss. And another 2-0 from our first and second seeds to debut. Split 2 of the LCO. And he's dancing.
There's our dance. That's what you came to see, is nothing more from the LCO. Both our finalists putting in the work, showcasing they deserve the clean 2-0s.
And now that we know that he's sitting at a round table, the rest of Bliss have to watch him stand up and dance. He's not hidden in his room. Everyone has to see that. Imagine you're Akia. It's your first time playing the LCO.
What is he doing?
You jump into a game, you get your clean throws, you're excited. You look to your right, and there's just this man dancing.
Is this what they do in Australia? Interesting. Either way, though, what a game. And I mean, as much as we sung the praises of perhaps running it back on the red side with a similar draft, with a similar play, just wasn't enough. Just wasn't to be the case. So I think Bliss can feel pretty happy about the fact that they're a very strong performance.
Liv?
Hey, what's up? Another one?
Good player.
Have a bit of a conversation
Great
there.
player.
Great comms.
Big fan.
Yeah, we're great comms, big fan. We can just gloss right over that one and honestly just deep dive into how great Bliss are looking. Obviously, it's a tough opponent for Direwolves, but I want to sing the praises of Bliss here and everything they did well. Are you impressed with the team? Just the teamwork? Do you think it was as cohesive as what we saw come out from Chiefs in their opening series?
I think the early game wasn't really as good as the Chiefs, but also Chiefs was versing them not as hard an opponent as Bliss was. But I think that mid game and their team fight that they were showing was really, really good. I think that like they were finding the different like angles, like they were flanking, they were playing like pick, pretty much just everything you want to see from like a cohesive team.
I had another question. It just literally just walked right out of my mind there. I'm so sorry.
Still thinking about Lived. I get it. I get it. I think about Lived all the time. It happens.
It's that hair.
It's that
Do you reckon
hair
that's it?
It's so dreamy.
It's so dreamy.
I can get lost.
in his hair.
The question was going to be about Direwolves and looking towards how we feel they're going to be as a team, because a bit of a better start. At least I felt in my eyes. I saw them having a little bit more of a direction, and then all of a sudden they were on the back foot, and it felt exactly like we were running it back in game 1 of where are we going, what are we doing, we can try and get pickups, but then what happens even if we get 1 kill?
Yeah, I mean, and if you disagree, I do want to have a discussion on this as well, but it does feel like their only playbook is Drake. They have to 5v5 at Drake, and then Bliss just kind of teetered around in those fights and said, like, I dare you, right? Like, let's just do the one thing you can do, and they beat them at their own game. And I think that's, like, in a way, you can play compositions around objectives and win games perfectly fine, but it felt very one-dimensional against a team that was besting you every time those fights happened.
Yeah, I would have really liked to see just different, like a different option out of Direwolves. I just feel like every single time they saw for objectives, they were always down on health from getting poked out by like the Syndra combos, or like Jinx landing an auto attack into a zap. Like I just feel like they had more options to play in both these games, and they were being one-dimensional.
it is unfortunate, but hopefully the wake-up call that they need, just being like, okay, guys, look, start the split. Finally, I get to witness it. I actually missed every Why Not dance last split. I'm not even joking. It was very unfortunate for me. But yeah, look, it is only one series for Direwolves, one best of 2, but it's maybe just that little bit of like, okay, we need to change some things up. We need to have a look at what we are doing as a team. Are we too focused? Are we too one-dimensional? Some of the builds, look, there's nothing too crazy actually going on with the items that we're seeing from either team there. Jinx, again, just kind of being able to sit back and like two-shot the champions. You're just like, oh, hybrid, vibrator.
They start going crazy as well
They
in
start
this
being
game,
a bit
right?
too
The
cracked.
Syndra impact was extremely high in this one. I was able to just pick them apart. And I mean, there's no such thing as a team fight when the Syndra has killed someone before it starts. So
This time around, they were always in the number advantage, Bliss. There wasn't really that much time for Direwolves to be able to get a pick off. Trying to look at if anything else is too surprising with these stats, and not really, just definitely the total damage dealt by that Syndra.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they get that solid kill in the mid lane when we're singing the praises, well, not the praises, but like, you know, trying to conjure up an idea of how Direwolves could try and find themselves back in. You're seeing, well, okay, how strong was Praetor in game 1? He had 3 items, you know, cresting towards 4. Was very strong, just needed time. You're saying, okay, he'll farm it up in the mid lane. Just wait, it's gonna. Oh, he's dead. What happened? He just QE'd. Yeah, so it's a pretty rough affair. And I think the big thing for me is that, you know, both these teams can walk away and have some, you know, they've obviously gone up against the heavy hitters of the league. So they can look at these VODs and say, okay, maybe day 1, you know, week 1, we're not as strong as we need to be, need a little bit more match fitness. Some good VODs for them to review, look over and say, okay, you know, this hasn't really clicked. Good chance for them to sit down and discuss, okay, how do we look to try and, you know, work on this going over the next few weeks.
On the side of Bliss, though, with their new support coming in, are you like, whoa, these guys actually have leveled up? We didn't really know what this was going to bring to them.
Both old and new supports very good at going 1 and 5. If there's one takeaway from that one, I love the. It feels like there's a killer instinct in Arkia as well. Like it's very clear that he's a good player. Like you've watched 2 games now, and it's very clear that he's a good player. But you're seeing this level of aggression from him that I'm a big fan of, in how it fits with Bliss, because they are an aggressive team. So I think there's a very promising split ahead for them with their new acquisition.
Sentiment ring true for you too, Tally?
Yeah, I think you can definitely see like the level up in their laning phase. I think that like even on Thresh, it felt like he was looking for those flash plays a lot, and just the blind hooks. He's happy to take the flip. It's really good to see from players, especially someone who's playing like their first game on stage, that like they're able to take these risks. So I'm excited to see how he turns out as the split goes on.
Yeah, a lot of comfort. It appears like the bootcamp that they were doing has reaped a lot of benefits for them, for someone to be able to come in to the LCO with a team. We didn't know how that language barrier was going to be, but when I see them play, it doesn't feel like there is one at all, Skimmy.
No, and that's the interesting thing, because I think sometimes there's been examples in like oceanic history where imports are coming in and there has been a language barrier and they have just simply 1v9'd. And you're thinking, oh, that's kind of interesting, right? Like, obviously it's a team game, but it's clearly showcasing that, hey, I am just that much better than you. So I'm curious to see really how it's working, because I know, especially with Pensnet, with Dongi, there was a time when he was actually having to act as a translator on his team. So he would be talking in English as well as talking in Korean to try and like tell the team, hey, this is what we're doing. So I'm wondering at what point things might be at for Bliss, whether or not Daystar's got enough of a basic level of English to try and say like, oh, this is what he wants to do, or if there's just, you know, a clearly worked out system of pings, or, you know,
I was about to say, I feel like
words.
all you need is ping, go, back, and then certain champion names. That's it. That's the
Absolutely.
bare minimum. That's the basic.
Pretty much. Fight.
You've just got your pocket cards of like, yes, no, what else do you
Or
need?
the Mir special when he first came over, or Arthur special when he first came over was, I think fine. You call it plain, he says, I think fine.
I'm pretty sure he
Yes.
still said that on the Chiefs.
Well, look, we have our winners interview. We'll interview with one of the Bliss players. It's gonna be Liv. Hello, Liv.
No way.
No way. Whoa! I didn't pick this one. Hello. How are you going?
Pretty damn good. That was a exciting game.
Yeah. Did you feel that it was gonna be this easy of a 2-0 for you guys? Like, it looked pretty easy for us.
I wasn't expecting it to be that easy, I'm gonna be honest, but you know, I guess they just didn't turn up on the day. Maybe we just got that much better.
Yeah, speaking of potentially getting better, obviously having that new support for you guys, we're speculating over the language barriers, if you guys are having too much of an issue or it's actually been pretty seamless.
Yeah, it hasn't been too difficult. There's been like a few hiccups here and there, but I think we've got the language down now, so yeah, pretty easy from here on out, I reckon.
And pretty boring question, but I have to ask, how have you been finding the top lane meta, and have you been noticing the early like unleashed TP and like the turret plate changes, anything like that in your laning phase?
I think that has definitely made it a bit more interesting. I can like impact the map before like 30 minutes, so it's been it's been somewhat interesting to actually be able to do something before tail plates fall off. So that's been fun. But other than that, it's still pretty much the same.
I want to know from your point of view, Liv, how would you describe Bliss's playstyle on this patch and hopefully looking towards the rest of LCO?
I definitely think we're early aggression. I think we do like to make plays early and get an advantage. I don't think we really like to play from behind, so just like to take everything we can and like start them out. That's probably the way we like to play.
Okay. And I asked this question hoping that you might give me a surprise answer, but I feel like I already know it. Who is going to be the biggest competition for Bliss in this split?
It is probably the Chiefs, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't really see. Maybe Mammoth's roster. They're looking interesting. Maybe that'll pose some type of threat, dark horse. But yeah, I think Chiefs probably the biggest threat.
Yeah, look, that makes sense. That was the answer I was speculating about. And very final question: how are you guys going to celebrate tonight? I know that you're all still boot camping. You're all together. Is there going to be anything big? Or you're just like, we're just going to rest up.
I'm not sure if we're doing anything now. Maybe we'll go out for a cheeky little dinner, but maybe go KFC run, get a Zinger box. But nah, I think everyone's leaving tomorrow, unfortunately.
Hey, Nat.
Oh, shame.
Can I ask Lived a question really
Of
quickly?
course.
Lived, big fan, mate. Love your work. Quick question. So, once upon a time, you played Nico in the top lane. That was a good few years ago, mate. When are we seeing that from you?
I'm waiting to play it. With the day that I get that is the day I feel alive again. I want
You and
to
me
play
both.
Nico again.
I do damage.
We'll both be smiling.
Yeah, so
Beautiful.
I'm waiting for it.
Awesome, mate. Well, enjoy your night.
Yeah, we'll look forward to whenever that happens. If it does happen, keeping us on our toes. But thank you so much for joining us, Liv.
Thank you very much.
See ya. Cheeky little Zinger box. That's how they celebrate.
They go hard.
I'm gonna be
They
honest,
go hard.
Great interview.
Except don't use your webcam mic, mate.
His cushion is upside down,
Oh.
and all I could see was the word Secret Labs upside down, and I can't handle it.
That was it. It wasn't the webcam mic.
No,
it
I
wasn't
could
the
not.
background. It was the pillow.
Every time we looked at him, I got a little bit sad.
I know exactly what they're doing in the background. There's all gather around a piece and be like, look at this, look what I
Yeah.
did. That's just so much damage.
Everyone's just trying to gas themselves
Yeah.
up, being like, bro, but look at this play, look at this play. And someone else will be like, no, but look at me in this play.
They got the replay highlight software up, right? And they're going like, oh, look at this, look at this.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. That's
100%.
all you do after games.
They're all probably trying to figure out who was MVP. I'm going to ask you guys the same. Who do you think MVP? Who was the standout? The stable?
Lemus.
Okay.
I'll go Lemus.
I'm going to say Daystar.
I say
Oh, you can
Daystar too.
Yeah. That's fair. I think both Cassantes were MVP, but Lemus was there every time.
Yeah.
So, and they were different players. So I'll go with Lemus.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to have production to put it up. 'Cause I have no idea who it is. Oh,
I'm
we
0
were
for 2.
all wrong.
We've been juked.
Absolutely, Duke. At least the kill participation on this MVP is a little bit higher.
I think Twitch Chaps was really impressed by what Akio was able to put out on the debut, right? The fact that you've got all this hype to say that, hey, I'm from Gen G Academy, I'm going to come down to Australia, show what I can do. And yeah, I mean, you can talk about the KDA maybe not being as pretty with the amount of deaths, but just the killer instinct, the ability to show no hesitation, to slot right into a team. Pretty commendable.
I was going to say, everything else, right, when you look at stats is great. Sure, maybe the death's a bit questionable, but MVP is so much more than just outside stats. It's setting things up for your team, ensuring that you're able to have that stable bot lane, that you're able to then have those rotations, that you can ensure mid is not going to just all, be sacked and you're just like, well, I guess we just got to wait and it's just a 4v5 until then.
He played well. He found those angles, right? He did what he was needed to do to get the win across the board. 2 Hook champions, 2 good games overall.
To be fair, I think every time he died, at least 3 or 4 people on
Yeah.
the enemy team died, so it was a good death.
It was
Space
a good
created.
death.
Space created.
Let's get the cheerleaders out. Worth.
Worth. Absolutely worth. Our play of the day, though. We know what it is. Tally picked it. Handpicked by our guest.
Play of the
Talent.
day.
What do you guys think it is?
It's going to be a mid lane play because it's you.
Oh,
It's
No.
not a mid lane play. It's going to be a bot lane play.
oh.
That's going to be a top lane play.
It's going to be the one when Riven was played.
Was it Bio again? I was like, Bio's got some really good 1v2s in there, but it's probably not what I would have picked.
I'll put you out in misery, all right? It was Kevy. He got our play of the day. Let's run it back. Let's see it. Let's see the
yes.
highlight.
Nah, fair.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
if I just say the player, you guys should know.
It's the plant.
Yeah?
You can't be roaming around the rift anymore. You gotta pay
count your
attention.
minions, count your plants.
Hit everything.
He's just
Just hit
waiting,
it all.
lying in wait.
That chicken could have been Kevy for all they knew, you know? It's the crazy thing about Nico now. I love the new pick. I love the new changes to the champion.
You just get to lie and wait, have the enemy team come to you. This is it, another replay of it.
Genuinely trauma-inducing.
I was going to say, do you think you would have had the patience to do this one, Tally?
Yeah, I mean, this is also something that will happen once, and it's always going to be in your head now.
Yeah.
Like, you never want this to happen to you again.
You will wake up and you'll see a plant on the roof.
Yes.
Like, you'll just be thinking
It's
about
3 a.m. You've woken up, nightmares, you got like sleep paralysis, and it's just the Nico plant
it.
on the
Nico's
roof.
the
and you're like,
demon. Yeah.
It's like, water me. Hydrate me.
Hit the plant.
Let me grow.
Hit the plant.
now I'm going to have the Nico plant with Skimmy's voice in the background, like waking me up
You've
at 3
only
a.m.
added to the
tonight.
demons, bro.
Give me more light. Let me bloom. That is very scary. That's PTSD inducing.
Yeah, thank you for adding on top of it, Skims. Thank you.
Lovely.
Yeah, it was a bit of a rough one, but great play from Kevy,
nice.
really showing the utilization of the fact that Nico can just be anything on the map at any point now. You can be whatever you want.
Which is a scary time ahead for
Yes,
all gamers.
very
And
scary.
Scrim's nightmares as well. Coach's worst nightmares. Not going to be fun for players, but Nico fun for us.
You know what really got me is, there was that time when he switched from the minion to the Gragas in mid lane. And you figure, but the minion wave's already gone. And I was thinking, is he going to try and sneak himself in? Like, yeah, I belong here, guys. Like, just wheedle
As a
into the waves.
Gragas?
Yeah, not as the minion, remember?
Oh, okay.
And he's like, yeah, guys, I was just a little bit late. I got creep blocked or something.
Oh, yeah, because he was jiggling. Yeah.
No, I remember that. And I was like, oh no, he turned into a melee creep. At least be a caster. If
Yeah.
you're late,
Yes.
it makes sense.
Yeah,
Why
no,
is that melee minion at the back?
Suspicious.
Yeah. That's
Look-
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it was a great day. I am a little bit disappointed, though, that it was 2-2-0s. I thought maybe there could have been a little bit of rivalry in that second series, that we could have seen it be a draw now that we are in the best of two territory.
It'd be good to see it. In saying that, I'm not looking forward to the empty feeling of a 1-1 because you want the third game.
Yeah.
But I understand why it exists. It's just that we have to combat that feeling. We all have to combat that feeling.
I'm trying to think if I've ever had that feeling, but no, I want the 1-1.
I
I want everything to be left on the table where I'm just like, oh my gosh, if they both make it to playoffs, like
True,
that's when
that's
it's going to
true,
matter. Like
true.
that's going to be the grudge. Like we have to prove that we can win in a best of 3, in a best of 5, whenever they do match up.
Sure, it does keep them drawn until playoffs.
Yeah.
Drawn until playoffs.
It
That's
just
Exactly.
reminds me of like football in England. You have draws, you have wins, you have losses. It's the exact same. 3 points, 1 point, 0 points.
part of the game, mate. Game's the game.
Yeah, mate. EA Sports in
football,
the
you
game,
get
mate.
what you
Yeah,
make.
it doesn't matter.
Game's
Sports,
the game.
esports is all sports, and it's all just
Yeah,
games, and all
mate.
competition.
You kick a ball, goes into the net, you score. Love that for you. Cheers, mate. 20 mil.
Just like running down
20
mid and
mil.
just hit their nexus.
Here's a Nike sponsorship. Good goal,
Here's
mate.
your sponsorship, mate. Kick that ball with that foot. Beauty.
Pick that Casade. Here's your sponsorship, mate.
Yeah.
Easy sponsorship. Hopefully we have our standings a little bit soon, but it's not going to be too much of a change up. I mean, we know that Chiefs is going to be 3 points and Bliss is going to be 3 points. A little bit anticlimactic, but it's
Are
only
you
day
good
one.
at art tally?
What? Where is this coming from? Do you want him
No.
to draw the standings?
No, I want him
Oh.
to draw another poster. Hey, guys, it's me.
Have him draw the standings.
Absolutely not.
All right, we got the
Whatever, why not?
Guys,
standings.
I'm here for another time.
That's right, Tally. You got. I saved you, mate. Don't worry.
Thank you.
We're gonna pull the standings up. You don't have to draw them. You don't have to draw a poster. We hopefully don't have to fill too much longer as
We
it
could.
is. Yeah. Okay. Go.
Okay. What comes after ABC?
Standings.
D E F.
True. Well done.
Thank you.
Here's
For
your
that amazing
standings.
feeling. Yeah, woo! Thank you. That's right. Shapes getting that 2-0 for themselves. Bliss as well, and everyone in between has not played. Direwolves, obviously an unfortunate loss up against Bliss just then, and Vertex also a bit of an unfortunate loss in their debut. But I want to keep reiterating. It wasn't like there weren't moments where I'm like, I see what they're doing. They still have direction. They're still trying to fight even though they're 20k down. there's life in them still.
Both teams that lost today gave us something to look forward to for the rest of their games, right? They gave us a glimpse of what is possible.
A lot to be desired.
A lot to be desired. And both Wolf Animals have shown that they still have some gas in the tank for making those playoffs.
Yeah, they might have barked a little too hard, but the bite is still to come. Tomorrow's schedule, Pentanet GG versus Mammoth Esports Club, Kanga Esports, and then Ground Zero Gaming. So Mammoth for me is where my eyes are drawn to. That's a series I'm really excited for because whole new roster, we really don't know what's going on, and we're like, they've come out swinging. They're gonna give the old left, right, good night, maybe.
I think Mammoth are like one of the most exciting unknowns to me, because like you look at the roster, this could be really good, but like we haven't seen a lot of these people together, a lot of these players together, and I think there's a lot of potential, but we need to see where they start, right? And that's what tomorrow will show us.
Yeah, I'm just excited to have like another like playoff contender. I think that like the fact that Mammoth has stepped up and brought in this like pretty good roster, honestly. Like I can't wait to see just more like competitive games.
Yeah, just hope
you didn't ask. Guys, it was been a great day. No, just go skimming.
Fatality.
Just hope it works out well for Mammoth. That's all I wanted to say.
A sentiment we can all hold true. We're going to have to wait and find out, though. We still got, what, 20 odd hours until that day. We're going to close out our day number 1. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Happy Pride Month!
Happy Pride Month, that's right. Go enjoy your Pride Month. Have a bit of a fun Monday night. But make sure you're going to be back here, same time, Tuesday. 4 new teams, 2 new series, best of 2s. We'll see you then.
They've only once lost their match. That was up against Pete. So let's see if Vertex can also add to history in that regard.
Well, speaking of
there's first blood.
History being made here.
Oh, and it went to Draven.
50 seconds in, Draven is going to get first blood. Tanked it for another second. The wave would have crashed. Top lane fighting.
Oh, good flash there, preemptive from Biopanther as Thomas Leaders found himself in with that slicing mouse from Biopanther under the turret. Why did you get?
Demi's a flare.
Where
hit it. Yeah, hit the sky as blue, guys.
Where's the Slender Man? Uh-oh, there he is! Surprise! There's 2 members locked in place, dead! An explosion to your head at the same time as well. I mean, god damn.
So funny. We'll see if they commit to it.
Lemus has found the turret play. He's going to shove in this wave. The Herald is coming in the river. The Herald is going to go for that turret as they go and do this dance right now. Lived across the wall. Chaz looking for the Tibbers. Finds onto 2. Cast explode! And the Drake has been taken. That's 2 to Bliss right now, but can they find kills? Well, they can certainly find Predator, who's life leeching. The red weapon is keeping him going, but finally the rocket launcher is there. And Lemus has had enough of Bliss limping away towards that Baron, but the Moonlight Vigil turn in a 1-man affair to try and take down the Gragas. Chaz removed, hasn't had the impact he would have been hoping to try and find here on that. And he is. The double kill comes out near here for why not. Stars found Chaz, Liv waiting patiently, in jumps Decoy's dead, didn't get a chance to use the ultimate, no flash, no ignite. Hot's found onto Predator, instant claims away, Barrel is there, Daystar looking for that moment right now, flash again, looking to try and pounce and find his target. Zonus is removed, the Call of the Forge Gold already burned, Daystar goes gold and Lamps' fight, still waiting to try and be utilised, but they run out of it, Rusty. It is an and to add insult to injury, they'll use their Hex Gate to get out of the base. Is he going to live? He certainly is. Angry Behemoth.
Oh, the damage, Lemus.
Moonlight Vigil doesn't matter, but Lemus is getting excited. He's found that first kill. Chaz with the wild grip in his head. Daystar is godlike. We all knew it. We've all seen it, and there is the double. Lemus now saying, get this game over with. I've got things to do, place to be, and aces to acquire.
And on the back of one of the greediest bids from